Boom. We're live. That was easy. That was easy.
Whoa, much easier than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I always assume it's going to go wrong. But, yeah, okay. How, I never quite know how this works because now is everybody watching an advert before things start? Anyway, let's just assume they're not. Hello, everybody. I am Glass Half Dead. You might be aware of me. This is my channel. However, today I have two interesting things with me. The first is...
Wes, how you doing?
Where's...
I guess you're pointing at me, not at the sign above, but
No, I thought I'd start with the person before objectifying it
good.
to the thing that you've provided for us. So, Wes, you are obviously... I feel so mean just introducing you as a playtester of Kill Team. I'm sure you're a person beyond that, but, you know...
More than just eye candy, it's fine.
Well, okay. But you do have a YouTube channel. Let's get that out there first. I have linked you in the description. It's D6 Evolution. You are, I believe, a collaboration of people that typically do 40k, but obviously you're hyped for Kill Team.
Yeah, primarily a 40k channel, mainly based on like competitive tactics. But we are branching into Kill Team. That's our new thing, really.
Awesome. And above me in the window up there, we have something that you've just kind of posted on your Twitter, which is a little cheat sheet, I believe. So for anyone looking to get started with Kill Team, that helps, I assume.
Yeah, so it's what I use every time when I play. So hopefully the guys will find it useful too. Just got through the phase structure, points, and how to settle the battle on the left-hand side. So I use it every time, really, rather than have to go to the book.
Cool, cool. All right, and yes, somebody in chat there is saying that your sound for some reason is like delayed by half a second, and it is, and that is his Wi-Fi and not the stream. So there you go. That's the thing. Cool. Yeah, so the cheat sheet, obviously, when I started playing the last version of Kill Team, by the time people were producing cheat sheets, I knew the rules, so I didn't need it. But as I don't know the rules for this edition, I assume that I am going to need that. And I think it's just generally a good thing that everybody has access to something to get them into the game. So check that out. Unfortunately, I haven't actually had time to look at it, even though you sent it to me like 3 hours ago. But yeah, that's my bad.
Yeah, it's fine. I've turned my other stream off now. I wonder if the internet's any better. Am I still 2 seconds behind?
You know what? I wasn't paying attention, so I'll find out soon, I guess. Yeah.
Okay.
It is a little bit behind. Somebody's asking, where's the cheat sheet? That is, if you just go to Twitter, look for, I assume, D6 Wes, it seems to be.
D6 Wares, yeah.
There you go. Oh, you know what? I think we're far enough in. How far in are we? I can't even tell because my setup is so janky. I can't see any
For about
details.
2 minutes.
2 minutes? I think that's enough time. Everybody, if you're a subscriber to my channel, I would like to give you a big circle hello. Oh, there's no sound. Sorry, I don't need to pause after saying it.
But you can hear it in your head.
I think everybody heard it.
Training,
Yeah, definitely. Hey, bit of wholesomeness, even though there wasn't that sound. And I think I'm just gonna say it. I think we could all use a bit of wholesomeness after whatever yesterday was. There were some interesting comments on all sides, and that's partly why I wanted to bring you on, Wes. I was originally going to do this just because obviously I have the books, I have the compendium, it's all right here, and I've known about this for a week and a half, right? And I had to actually and not sharing the compendium was so hard because, like, I just want to talk about the game, and so I had this planned anyway because I just wanted to talk to people that are also excited to talk about Kill Team. But then you're a playtester, and I was like, hold on. This guy probably knows more than I do. I was just going to talk about it in a super generic, like, I'm excited kind of way. But you can probably actually, like, give real information.
Well, I hope so. Well, you seem to have gone through that with a very fine-tooth comb, that's for sure.
You know what? A community will do that. A community will do that. Yeah. So first, also, obviously, hello to everybody in the chat. Thank you for joining us. If you have questions, like, I'm just gonna be honest with you guys, I'm struggling to read any of your chat and speak. So if you want to do a super chat, I will obviously see it. This isn't me begging for super chats. This is just saying I literally won't see your question. Otherwise, at some point in the future, after we've had a little just exciting chat, if you want to ask questions, I'll kind of throw the floor open to you guys. You can ask anything you want. The future of Kill Team, rules questions, generic things, literally anything. We won't answer all of them, potentially, but you can ask it, and I will try and pick out as many questions as possible. Oh, okay, so hold on, I have bullet points. Let's see what those are.
Very organized.
Well, because I knew that if I didn't have bullet points, I wouldn't know what to say. Okay, so right. Okay. Hello, guest of my show. I'm going to continue talking for another 10 minutes. Right, sorry. Okay, just super quickly.
Let's talk about you. Let's talk about me for a while.
Yeah. No, so I just really wanted to quickly say, earlier this morning, I posted a poll on my channel. It was just asking three options. Are you excited for Kill Team? Are you on the fence about Kill Team? Are you sad about Kill Team? Because obviously a lot of the feedback we got yesterday seemed to be really negative. Like, everywhere I looked, it just seemed like the whole game was gonna die. It was bizarre, right? I was like, well, hold on, I've got the rules. Why am I excited and nobody else is? So anyway, I did a poll, and if you look at the poll now, you will see that I think it's 10% of people have answered they're sad. They don't like what's happened. 35% of people have said they're on the fence, and 55% have said that they are excited for the new Kill Team. Great. However, if you go and look at all the comments left, certainly at the beginning of the day when I checked, you know, this is over 1,500 people have answered now. All the comments were negative. I was like, well, hold on. How has that 10% dominated the comments? So I just wanted to throw it out there, like, don't get wrapped up by the negativity. Indeed, as people are saying, the vocal minority will complain. I don't think it's as doom and gloom, and as some people are saying in the chat, like, it's this morning, I think after yesterday, people were kind of like, this is a bit much. I'm excited. Can we chill? Can we lay off? And I think kind of the positive people have said, oh, all right, you've had your chance. Let's be excited. So I just want to throw that out there. Don't get overwhelmed by the vocal minority. Cool. All right, that's it.
I think that's really good advice, because having been playing this for a little while now, and actually having played some stuff that's coming in the future, it's a very exciting time to be a Kill Team player. That's for sure.
Well, no, like 100% as a Kill Team player of the old edition. I mean, obviously everyone's at a different stage in their journey of Kill Team and playing, but the game had been dead for a year and a half. You know, as someone that has a channel and tried to cover it as much as I can, it was dead. And I was learning 40k. That's how bad it was. Can you imagine something being so bad you make the option of going to 40k, right? Yeah. Okay.
And I was watching your channel over lockdown and stuff as well, and actually, like, you seem like a different man. You seem quite broken back then, and actually,
I was
springing a step again.
You know, you're right. I am generally very negative.
Very different.
Yeah. But because I actually have something to talk about that excites me, I can actually be positive. And it just generally, like, you know, that having something to look forward to staves off the darkness of my soul a little bit. So, yeah. Nothing to say about that.
Definitely good stuff.
Okay.
Very deep there.
So, all right. Let's. Oh yes, Deshifu points out that I kept saying it wasn't dead. I felt that at the time, but in hindsight, it was kind of dead, guys. I mean, you know, I don't want to mess around. It was pretty dead. Anyway, it's all good.
You're just trying to keep yourself going at the time.
No, indeed, and I hadn't learned 40k enough that I could actually talk about it. But let's talk about Kill Team, the new edition.
Yes.
Let's also say, so I've said this before, but I'm going to say it now for all to hear. I do believe that if we had to criticize GW, which we love to do. Maybe not you, legally, because that would be awkward, but I love to. I do think that their big mistake has been to call this game Kill Team. I think that's probably been one of the big issues because people expect the previous edition of Kill Team to mean something, right? Like 8th to 9th, those were small changes. Really, I mean, okay, I'm sure they were impactful, obviously, but Kill Team to Kill Team, it's not even Kill Team 2, it's not even Kill Team 21, it's an identically named game, but it's literally a new game, and I think they I get it, brand recognition, whatever. I'm talking way too much. Where's what's Kill Team?
I think you're right, because I think at its core, it is a skirmish game set in Warhammer 40,000 in universes, and so that's at its very core. So I think that's where the Kill Team link goes. But in terms of game mechanics, there are very, very little that's translated at all from this. I think there's some things like scouting stat, but some of the names remain, but actually, in terms of how the game actually works, it's very, very different.
Yeah.
So I think the reason why I really love it is just the interactivity of this game. Like I played the original Kill Team up until Elites, but I just kind of lost a little bit of steam after that. But with this one, I think with the alternate activation, it's really good and it's really fun, and you stay engaged the entire game. And it's very tactical, especially with the way you use terrain in this as well. So using conceal, engage orders, and when you activate operatives as well is really important. So those sort of things, I think, make it a really, really tactical game. And we kind of had a discussion before about whether this is a narrative game or a competitive game. And I think at its heart, it's narrative because it's Warhammer 40,000, but actually, it's a very, very competitive game when you really get into it.
Okay. I'm just increasing your volume because you're a bit quiet, so I've increased that. There you go. You should now be booming. Chat, let me know if you're still quiet. Cool. Yeah, so Kill Team. Yeah. All right. Cool. Is there any, I don't know, is there anything else to kind of is there anything further to the pitch before I ask questions?
So what else would I say about the Kill Team? I think the one thing, so we've all seen the rules, etc., for Kill Team. I think what isn't necessarily transparent to people, and probably shouldn't be really, is that the team behind it are really, really engaged in this game. Like from developers to the project managers to the playtesting teams. Everybody is really engaged and really behind this game. So they're watching, they're listening, and they're looking for community feedback, and they will make this a very, very good game for the community.
Okay, awesome. I mean, yeah, that's good to know. I mean, it's kind of hard to look back at the last 3 years to hear that, yeah, that was just a throwaway product, by the way, that you were playing. Sorry. But now it's real. A little bit scary. A little bit concerning.
Yeah.
Makes me feel like maybe I should.
I don't think it's a throwaway project. I just think just knowing that the characters who are in the team right now, like they were so engaged in this game, they really believe in it.
Awesome. Okay, so just to clarify, what the rough structure, he says 15 minutes into it, is that we're kind of just going to have a bit of a chat because I was excited anyway, and I just wanted to talk to people. You're here, awesome. But also, as we go after that little chat, we're going to let people ask anything they want about rules, like anything basically. But the first thing I think we're going to do is actually go over the compendium, because I want to know a tier list. Yeah, a compendium tier list from a playtest. Oh, I suppose we have to proviso this somewhat. So okay, maybe you can't say, but how long has it been since you played the compendium as we have it?
So I still play the compendium. I still play the compendium in parts. So, but yeah, it may be a little bit of time since we actually worked on those actually as a project. I can't really talk about that too much, but okay. Yeah. So stuff in my playtest world would have moved on from compendium.
Sure. Sure.
Hmm.
Okay, fair enough. No, but I didn't mean really like, oh, did you play it a year ago? I just mean kind of like how long have you been playtesting? I just mean I'm about to ask you a bunch of
Oh,
questions. Do you remember?
yeah.
Uh,
So I have an appalling memory, so I'll
okay.
try to remember what best I can. But yeah, yeah, I've been going through it as well with excitement. Everyone else looking through, it, going, "Oh, can you see what Thousand Suns can do?" Etc. So
Yeah,
yeah,
Thousand
I'm
Suns.
fairly up to it right now.
Okay. Okay. So, you know what? Actually, before we jump into a tier list, I do want to ask because this kind of leads on to a whole other. Maybe I should ask this first. Do you want to talk about list building quickly? I feel like actually we should do a list building talk first because everybody's talking about it, and then we can maybe have some fun with the tier list. Um, List building's very different. Do you wanna say some thoughts on
Yeah.
that?
So yeah, list building is different. So okay, the big crocodile in the room is the fact that there's no points anymore. That are transparent to people, but there is a system, as Warhammer community alluded to, that there is a process, there is a formula into the way that the kill teams are created and balanced, and that's kind of I guess where we then come in as playtesters to make sure that that balanced formula kind of works out. So there is something in the background, but the way they work now is the fact you either have a kill team made up of one or two fire teams, depending upon the sort of the units that are being used. So most will come up with two different fire teams, which should be of pretty much equal balance in terms of their power, and then that will then make an entire kill team then that should be balanced. I know some people are a little bit upset, like the Space Marines are only getting like one fire team with 5 guys involved in it.
Let's
But
talk about
actually,
that.
that let's talk about that one, shall we?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
5 guys, and you don't necessarily get the mix that people would have been accustomed to. Being able to, we talk about spam, don't we? Really, but be able to take 3 or 4 different plasma weapons or different things to really hone in on actually being a real high firepower team. That's not a thing anymore. So spam is very much off the menu in terms of the new kill team. Some people may like that, some people may not, but that's just where the game design has gone really. So spam is very much off. But I think the balance of that is actually now. I'm not sure if you've played Space Marines yet, but
I have.
I personally feel that Space Marines feel like Space Marines now, especially when you get like the number of wounds that they have, the 3 APL, the fact they can move twice, they can shoot twice, they can fight twice. I say move, it'd be a move and a dash in there as well. They really do feel like something special.
Okay.
So the thing I think the Space Marines have, although you can only take 5-man squads, actually within your roster, that's 4 different 5-man squads that you can take. And with those 4-man squads those 5-man squads, you can then actually have the flexibility when you come to the table. So if you then have a team where you're fighting something that's a firepower list, then you want to go close combat heavy, then you go assault intercessors. Maybe you want a bit more firepower, then you go heavy intercessors, or you can go with retro marines as well if you do want a little bit more accessibility because they've got a bit more flexibility in their teams.
Okay.
So that's generally I think of Space Marines. I think the fact that you can't take lots of different weapons and stuff is actually very fitting for Space Marines because that's the way in the background and the lore that they operate. You don't have guys with lots of special weapons. That their special weapon is the bolter, and bolter should feel like a special weapon. So hopefully that comes across during the game itself.
Apart from Deathwatch, who spam different weapons.
Yes. Okay. So and Deathwatch are those guys, or that they
are.
do get a bit more flexibility in their team building there. So if you do want a really flexible, customizable Space Marine kill team, then actually it's Deathwatch, and that kind of fits with the lore as well. So I think that's the way to go if you want that sort of team yourself.
Did you call them Retro Marines? Sorry.
I did call them Retro Marines.
I'm going to stick with Mini Marines, but I feel like that.
Mini Marines?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So
I
we
think
have
retro.
to ask.
I've got Mini Marines. I think they're cool.
No, fair. Yeah, yeah. I don't like them, but I know some people love them. Some people are firstborn only, of course.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so people love to jump to the extremes. I have answered this before, but I don't know what I'm talking about, right? Let's see what your answer is. So, the thing they jump to is 5 Space Marines versus 4 Custodes. How's that fair?
How is that fair?
Yeah.
That is a tough one. And what I would say is that it is balanced in the background. Yeah. But the thing with the custodies, as soon as you get down to 4 guys, it's actually very difficult to play the mission. And you'll find with this game that actually playing the primary objectives will win you the games. And with 4 custodies, it's very difficult. As soon as you get rid of one of those custodies, actually, when you get down to 3, it's quite tough to play those guys. And you can outmaneuver them.
Even with 5 guys? I mean, that's only 1 guy more.
Yeah. Yeah, so
Okay, all right.
It,
I'm just playing devil's advocate.
I mean, that's the best I got for you. And
Yeah.
you can still take a heavier weapon with the guys there, but in terms of their strength tests, etc., it's the balance with the custodies is the fact that one person does make a bit of a difference.
Okay.
I think I think you probably found yourself when you play the elite teams. Once you start getting down to about three guys, it becomes a very difficult game until you learn then how to use cover and keep those guys alive.
Okay. Fair enough. Chat says
Yeah.
you're wrong. So let's just move on. There you go. Tough.
Yeah, that's
Tough.
Yeah,
Playtester, cool. You're wrong.
I'm trying to defend that position. It's probably not that defensible. It's what I would argue is if you put it down to 3 custodies, you don't have a chance of playing a game.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Cool. All
That's
right.
Wes's view.
No, sure. Now, let's see what comes next. Do you have any other matchups that you think are particularly? Do you think this game is a little bit rock paper scissors, and you can go into a bad matchup, but there's something on the roster that fixes it, or are there genuine you know what, if you're X going into Y, you don't really have much on the roster to handle it?
Yeah, I can't think of any particularly to hand, but there will be games where a certain kill team will just innately be better at taking on the other kill team. But where the balance does to that is having the variability in your roster to make sure that you can take things that when it gets to that table, you take the things that are going to be better for that team that you're facing. But on the whole, and I guess this is probably talk about game balance right now. Like in an ideal world, game balance would be a little point, wouldn't it?
Sure.
It's very difficult to get to. So in terms of how I think about game balance, I think it is kind of like being a sort of a spectrum of balance that you want to get to. So yeah, kind of getting in between there for the game balance. And ideally, you want it somewhere in the middle. Some teams will be, if like a high skill set team, probably like Gene Stealer Colts, etc. Yeah, if you give that to a weaker player, they're going to be down here. But if you give it to a stronger player, they're going to be up here. So as long as they're fitting within that game balance, I think that's fair. And then that comes down to player skill, and which is the deciding factor on that.
Okay, I just want to read a few things in chat, just because I think it's funny. So here we go. What have we got? We've got kill 1 custody. They auto concede. So that's what you're saying. And we've got.
Yes, that's exactly what they do. Yeah. They run home back to the Emperor.
Yeah. Paint their armor black and go back to mourning. Yeah. And then we've got you're just hiding behind balancing, and you can't say they're boring. There you go. So you've been called out, Wes. Sorry, mate.
I have been called out. Yeah.
There you go.
Who they say is boring? The Custodians.
No, that was the Marines, Space Marines.
Okay.
Yeah. Look at these game developers talking about balance. Outrage.
Oh, mate, I really, I was kind of the same thoughts. I was like, initially when I started playing the Space Marine stuff, like you kind of want on the weapons now. You want plasma guns, you want multi-melters and stuff. Sure. But actually, when I start moving these dudes around and they're firing bolters and stuff, and they're killing things, like this is actually really cool. A bolter firing 2 to 3 times is actually pretty powerful.
Yeah. Okay. So, look. Right. Sorry. Allow me to restate my position because I'm being devil's advocate here. I am. The games that I've played so far, I have enjoyed, and I have enjoyed more than any old kill team I have played for the past year at least. So, I like it more than I did the old version, but I like to think that I'm relatively in tune with the community. And although I like it, I don't really need to ask these questions. And I realize that there's like some things you literally can't say, and you haven't played what we're playing for quite a while because obviously rules move on. I don't know. I'm going to kind of play now with this question. That's why I had to give that proviso.
Yep. Okay.
It's just, I think a lot of people are sad that they no longer get to use their favorite models, and that now you have 5 dudes with a bolter. And we can look at balance and we can say, yes, this is more balanced. We can look at theme and say, yes, this is thematically correct for a Space Marine team. And we can look at mechanics and say that this is a more engaging game just at the core level. And like, we are forcing the emphasis away from special weapons and onto movement and cover. But at its core, some people, I believe, will never be happy with that. Because they just spent the last 6 months in lockdown, the last year in lockdown, and they come out and they're like, I'm ready to play Kill Team. And GW says, but here's a new game. You can't use that. You can't use your 1 Reaver Sergeant, your 1 Intercessor Sergeant, your 1 Heavy Intercessor Sergeant. That's not legal. And I totally get that frustration. And I think it's very challenging to just say, well, what you're trying to say. And I think some people just won't connect with it.
Yeah, and you know what? And if I was probably on this other side of the fence as well, like, I would probably feel similar. Yeah, absolutely. And I think guess who I'll get with this is that I'm not Games Workshop. I'm not paid by them. I don't make the decisions. And what I do try to do is get really enthusiastic about it and try and make sure, it's almost a community front. Like, make sure that we get the balanced stuff that people want. And one thing I'd say is, it's not even released yet, and actually, stuff is going to come out, and stuff is going to be coming out, and people are going to be very excited.
How dare you use logic? The game's not even released. You can't cheat like that. Damn.
No, I'm totally with people, and what they can't use the toys, but they want to use the toys because I've got many toys that I can't use too. But actually, like, the one thing I can just I can't say, but what I can say is that stuff is coming out and stuff is really cool, and it's going to be really exciting over the next 6 to 12 months for Kill Team. So in this case, I think people just need a little bit of patience for the real cool stuff to start coming through the pipe.
I could continue to spout the arguments that I know they have against that, but let's move on, because actually I'm excited for the game, and I would like to be excited now, please. I feel I did a good enough job of pointing out the initial shock reaction, not how I felt, because as I mentioned, I was playing 40k. I was done. I'm really excited about the new game. So, right, somebody actually just asked a question. I've lost it again. Let's go with a nice easy one, okay? So don't forget, we're playing what we've got: Compendium and Octarius. No, you can chill out now. I'm going to be happy. So, what do you think is the best or most fun beginner team?
Ooh, I think for beginners, I think the orcs. I think the orcs are really entertaining.
Do you mean commandos or greenskins?
Sorry, yeah, commandos. Orc commandos.
Right.
Yeah, orc commandos. I think they are a really fun team, and just things like the little Gretchen guy who like shoots across the table and grab objectives, and he's always on a conceal order and stuff. It's really cool and really thematic. And I think outwardly of the two teams, it's probably the most powerful.
Yeah.
Until you get to know the guard team and you understand their activations, etc., then the guard can be more powerful. But yeah, I just the models and the lore and the game style of the commandos is just really fun. I've really enjoyed those ones.
Okay. Bit of a random question now to move on from that. Close combat versus shooting. What do you think's better as a beginner to focus, like, as a team to get into, where you're like, you know what, I gel with shooting more? And then ultimately, which do you think is actually generally making up the better team? One that focuses on close combat or one that focuses on shooting?
So that's the first part. Which team would I go for?
I don't know. Sure,
like, bearing in mind our previous conversation, Space Marines. I would go with Space Marines to start with because actually they don't have lots of different rules. They don't have lots of different weapons and stuff, and it's a good way to get into the game. It's 5 guys, which isn't too many to deal with.
Yeah.
So actually, I think Space Marines is a good starting block for playing the game. Once you then get a bit more interested in it, I really enjoy the Guard because I really enjoy the synergies on them, to be honest. Once you understand the activations and when things should go, and keeping your key players back to the to ambush guys as they come out, and finding the synergies between the different units, etc. as well. I've just found that really entertaining.
Okay.
Second part of your question, did I answer that?
I don't think you did. So, just in general, like, do you think there is a balance difference between shooting teams and combat teams, melee fight teams?
I think, generally speaking, it's fighting teams are better. So shooting teams are better. Okay. I do feel like things like the Harlequins are really strong on that spectrum. They're probably to the right, but I think they've got a bit of a higher skill cap on that, because the problem you find with combat is if once you go in and kill something, often or not, if you're not really savvy about it, you're left in the open, and you will just get shot.
Right. Yeah, I did just lose as Harlequins to Marines, so yeah, that's fair. I felt that. That. Yeah, Marines.
Yeah, but once your skill cap gets better with it, Harlequins are just so bloody deadly. But it's learning to use all the different strat ploys that they've got there. I think the domino field one's a really powerful one.
Okay, so that's the thing, right? I was playing without knowing their strats. Turn 2, I saw domino field. I was like, oh, I should use that turn 1. Yeah. Okay, I messed up.
Yeah. And Josh, it's probably a good tip for people initially. Is actually, I wouldn't play all the strats and tactical ploys initially. I'll just get the mechanics going and then add those sort of things afterwards, because it's quite a different mechanic for playing than previous kill teams.
Yes. On a complete random self-plugging side note, earlier today I was writing your first 4 games, like how to start, and obviously start with an elite team. First game, you're just rolling dice. There are no objectives on the board. There are no ploys. You just need to learn how to roll dice and move. But that's a whole other thing. Okay, tough question. All right, we're going back and forth. Commandos versus greenskins. What's up with that?
Oh, I can't remember.
Do you not even know greenskins? Is that how bad they are?
Are they really that bad?
No, so basically greenskins seem to be kind of the old version of Kill Team ported over, much like many of the Compendium teams are. Whereas Commandos are like obviously fully fleshed out, lots of specialists, really cool. Yeah. But the greenskins seem to be, I'm not saying they're actually bad, but they just look like a straight downgrade to Commandos. As a beginner player, obviously, maybe there's something there I don't know.
Yep.
Any thoughts?
I'm probably going to have to pass on that one, because it's been a while since I've looked at those ones. So, yeah, I think I think the shiny thing there is the Commandos, isn't it, for that side of the orcs at the moment? Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. And yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I threw that one at you a bit too fast. I realised I should have. I got you high and happy, and then was like dug in too hard. My bad. Right. People are asking questions, but I'm not very good at reading chat and talking, so I'm gonna move on from that, I think. Do you have any like big beginner tips, like anything that you think like, right, this is something everybody needs to know?
Beginner tip. Activations, I think, is my big tip. Really, is getting to understand, especially things like guard. Is actually learning to bait your opponent out. Because initially, I was firing all my big weapons off first because I wanted to kill things, but actually using your the chaff models first. And getting the activation down, especially when you're playing against something like Space Marines, where there's only 5 guys on the table, controversially. If you can move 5 guys before them, then actually you can then get them into or out of position, and then use your key pieces to shoot them.
Okay. Fair enough. Somebody's just asked a question that I've actually read, so
Oh.
I'm gonna ask that because it was vaguely interesting. Um, if you can, did you find the tactical
Yeah.
aspect of the terrain as powerful as it sounds on paper? If that
Yes.
makes sense to you.
Yeah. Yeah. So terrain is huge. This game is all about terrain and movement. Um, for me, actually, for my first turn, I don't really plan on doing any shooting. It's all about getting to the right position on the terrain. Turn 2 to 3 is where the proper firefight starts for me, and that's really getting to used to and using that terrain to the best advantage. So whether it's making sure you're obscured, making sure you've got a concealed order on, and you're next to within black of the terrain feature itself or triangle, to make sure you've got the proper cover, etc. So yeah, the one thing we found is that actually you really do spend a lot of time interacting with terrain.
Yeah, certainly that's what I've found as well. Like, I mean, that's why my first rules video was this is how terrain works, essentially, how line of sight works. Like,
Yeah.
that is the game. In essence, the core game is you have 4 actions: shoot, move, fight, charge. Everything else is the terrain, as far at the moment, and the special abilities on the specialist type data sheets when they release, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but terrain and movement, and I think that's probably where, so you go back to stronger teams will be ones that can really maximize on movement. So going back to the Harlequins again, where they can pretty much ignore terrain and they still get to move and dash at the same time. That's huge in this game because you can really get yourself into some really nice positions to then attack next turn.
Okay, so here's a good one. I think that something that GW does very poorly in most of its things is define terrain, because obviously they tend to always be working with, we've given you this kit, here's how you can use this kit, and I think they rarely think outside of the kit for obvious reasons, right? But like,
Yeah.
how much is too much terrain? How much is too little terrain? Can you kind of speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, so I think if you look at what's in the box for the kill team box now, for Octaris, I think that is just right. I think if you have much less than that, it's too few, and you can't really make the most of terrain because again, like we just said, it's a terrain game. If you put too much, much more than that, then there's no fire lanes, and it becomes a very very closed game. So we did play at both ends of the spectrum with that, and actually found it to be not that enjoyable at both ends if you have too much or too little. So what you've got in the box there is what we'd say is probably about right. So 4 to 5 medium-sized bits of terrain and 4 to 5 bits of scattered terrain.
So 4 to 5 buildings and 4 to 5 scatter/barricade.
Yeah, about that. Yeah.
Fair enough. Cool. Yeah, I think
which I think
terrain's
is
always
probably about what's in the box.
Yeah, that is roughly what's in the box. Yeah. You've got
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Like, do you kind of
So
expect
there's other
that
things as well.
Hmm?
Sorry, you're going to say?
No, I was going to say, do you kind of expect that if you're making a conscious move, you should always be able to find terrain, or you should always be able to be in cover, essentially?
Yes. Yeah. So I think like your maximum move distance, you should have another piece of terrain that you could go to. It's probably a good guide. So every red plus, you should have another piece of terrain you can get to.
Okay.
The thing we found as well is if you don't put something in the middle-ish, you can end up with some quite large fire lanes. So things like snipers become really powerful if you don't have something that blocks those fire lanes out. So that's something to factor in as well, because you can end up doing snipers on some of the units and stuff, and that it becomes a bit obnoxious then if you don't have something that can stop those snipers from doing what they do.
Okay, so some sort of large thing that blocks the potential vantage point of a potential sniper, giving obscurity to the other side of the board, sort of thing.
Yeah, so I think that pump station that comes in the kit, that's quite good. So anything that's slightly above the level and heavy for obscuring is really good for that.
Okay. Somebody's asked, are Space Marines good?
Yes,
There you go. Cool.
I like Space Marines. Yeah, I was very surprised how much I enjoyed playing Space Marines. I actually got quite excited by it, which is a little bit sad.
We're all playing a tabletop game. It's fine. We can
Yeah,
uh,
we're all friends, aren't we? We're on the
yeah,
same thing.
we all know what it's about. Okay, so that's kind of our little beginner thing there. I think let's talk a little bit about the compendium. Obviously, as mentioned, you might struggle a bit to remember what's actually in here. Do you
Yep.
think, casting your mind back, if you had to pick 3 strongest teams, any thoughts?
So I was thinking about it last night actually. I think Harlequins are my go-to one. I think they're really
Harlequins.
quite strong.
Okay.
But as I mentioned before, I think they've got that high skill barrier on those guys. That if you don't play and understand cover well, then you're just going to lose with those guys.
Sure.
I think after that, Tau. I think Tau are pretty good. I think Tau fit Kill Team pretty well actually, and their access to different weapons. I think their base weapon, the pulse rifle, is actually quite strong. I think it's damage 5 on a crit. I think if I remember rightly.
Okay.
And I think Thousand Suns is probably another good one as well, actually.
Thousand Suns.
They are Marine. Yeah. Marine,
Okay,
and they've got
so-
those psychic powers.
So from as a noob, I looked at Thousand Suns and I agreed that I think they look really strong. However, despite them having different fire teams available to them, you could go all Zangors, you could go all Rubrics, you can mix. It kind of looks, just as the layman, like you would always just go one Rubric, one Zangor. Right?
Okay.
No? Is that?
Yeah. I think the Zangor give you more models, don't they? Base, if I remember rightly. I can't remember.
Yeah, you're 6 per fire team. So you could be running 12 Zangors or the other. Yeah, 9 if you mix.
Yeah. Yeah, so I remember that being a thought with mine for that as well. Yeah, so you could expand them out quite well, which means that you can end up taking objectives. But I think with those guys actually, the sorcerers are actually quite good, especially when you factor in their psychic powers they've got as well.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm sorry, I can't see anybody not taking a sorcerer if they're playing Thousand Suns. I mean, you literally get a free model. You get an additional model to the 2 rubrics. Yeah, but that's always the leader,
absolutely.
surely.
And I think a 4th one as well. I think actually Grey Knights are really good because they are Space Marines, but they have some cool psychic powers that they can do as well.
Yeah, I do like. So obviously, everybody's already seen what the psychic powers are. But I do like that they've actually given some different flavor to the psychics now. Yeah, because I collect both armies. Well, factions.
Okay.
Not in 40k. Like I've always considered Grey Knights my main because they're an elite team. You can play them really fast, and it's cool that now they just buff. Like that's what they do. Quite thematic in that way, I suppose. Whereas Thousand Suns very aggressive with their stuff.
Yeah. I didn't ask for 3, but I've got another one. Eldar. Eldar are really tricksy.
Oh, cool. Okay.
With their ability to move, shoot, move as well. Those guys, that's really quite tough.
Okay. Nice.
They were Dire Avengers and Rangers are a good mix.
Okay, so that's how I've said it in my Eldari Aziani Compendium overview. That's probably the team. But you know what? I was looking at that heavy weapons platform. That thing's insane. Now that I've looked at it properly, that's crazy. Yeah.
And that's where you come up to weapon to target matching, isn't it? And that's kind of, if you come up against the Custodies list, I'm probably going to put that in there because that's going to pop Custody.
Yeah. Yeah, that is, it's got like, oh, you know, random rules question. So there's a gun, I can't remember which one, that is naturally AP1, but then on the crit is P2. Does that mean on a crit, it is AP3, essentially?
As I recall, yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah, because you're losing that 1 and then using additional 2.
Okay.
Is that the Wraith cannons, I think?
I can't remember. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Something. I think it was one of the Star Cannon or something like that. Yeah. Everybody's asking a couple of serious questions. If you play Kill Team, will you go bald?
And grow a beard if you want to be good at it. Yeah. So in
Okay,
fact,
well,
I normally have a full head of hair, but Neil's coming on the show, so it's like I've tried to grow a beard and I shaved my head this morning. So it's
no,
just
it's much
yeah.
appreciated. Thank you. You know, it's hard to be the only bald person in the room. You know. Uh, uh, okay, let's talk about it. Symbols. What's happening? Why are we using symbols?
Cool. That's a really good question, and I don't think it's breaking anything by talking about when I play the game. I don't use symbols. I use colors. So I refer to things as black, white, blue,
Oh,
and red. Controversial.
yeah.
So so the symbols are brought in because of people who are colorblind or have issues seeing. So the symbols are there to complement the colors that are on the rules.
But really, we mean why not just inches?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I think it was again in terms of quick referencing. Like I think when you look at a page, a color will stand out easier than a number when you're looking at it. So when you quickly glance at something, you can look down, you can just see the colors pop out at you really quickly.
Okay.
But that's just me guessing, really. Again, initially when I play, we play with measuring sticks with the red, white, blue, and green, blue and red.
Okay. You know what? Somebody is in the chat is asking me a rules question. I've got. That's why you're here.
No, you answer this.
No,
You answer
why
this.
would I answer a question? He asks, can you on Thousand Suns, can you only cast one psychic power because it's a shoot action? But no, I've got this. Don't you worry, Wes. I know this one.
You've got this.
All right. It's not a shoot action. It is a unique action, which is clearly specified there, and typically you would be right. You can only do one action. You can only do an action once every turn. But if you then go back to here, it quite clearly states that there is a way that you can, in fact, do two actions, but you essentially give your Psyker hot, except you're taking the mortal wounds on 1 and a 2, not just a 1. It's in the compendium. Very clear, don't worry. So yes, you can do 2 per turn, which is a nice little flavour thing that I think is really cool compared to Grey Knights, because you can kind of overcharge yourself very chaosly. That is super fluffy. I'm actually a big fan of how they've done the psychic in this game. And Spider,
it's really
thank you
quite
very
nice,
much for the £5. Yeah. No, I think they did a really good job. Right. What is your most fun kill team? Yeah.
My most fun key. John, I didn't think this would be the case because I've never really liked them, but I really like the veteran guards. I really enjoy them. Just the complete mix that you have. So the ability to have like ordnance coming off the table and strafing runs and little plasma guy popping up with the comms guy giving him extra APL so he can pop up, shoot people, and run away again. And I call him Sylvester, the demolition guy, going out and planting a bomb somewhere and blowing people up and stuff. I really enjoy them. I really do. Of the ones that are out right now, anyway.
Right, sorry,
Which one's your favourite so far?
I've got to go back to the psychic thing. They're saying I'm wrong.
Really?
They're saying this has now become a rules chat. They're saying, right, let me read it because I know they're wrong. But, right, they are saying, but you cannot use 2 offensive actions because free shoot, right? But it's not a shooting action, guys. I've just read it whilst Wes was talking, and therefore I was paying no attention to Wes. But, you're not doing a shoot action. It doesn't say that either on the Psychic Powers page, 81, or on the unique actions under Manifest Psychic Power for 1 AP. It's a psychic action. Nowhere does it use the word shoot. Sorry, because, okay, fine. I'm going to ask this as well. I think it's a pointless question. Why are we now saying turning point and drop zone instead of turn and deployment zone? There you go.
I think the from the whole thing has got it's just a different vocabulary set, hasn't it? So we don't talk about models. We talk about operatives. We don't talk about the tabletop. We talk about the kill zone, the drop zone. So I think it's really part of that, of just differentiating it. And I think the main concept of this isn't that it's not a large battle. It's a quick, decisive action where you have 4 really key turning points within the game that are happening, and that's the reason why it's a turning point.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. I hope the one person that cared about that listened. Right. Sorry, guys. Yes, they are correct. I was talking about the performance of a psychic action, but you're right. A Doombolt or Firestorm is performing a shoot action. So therefore, logically, when they use a free action, it means the cost of it is free, but you still have to be eligible to do it. Yes, correct. So you can't fire twice, essentially, but you could, for example, Doombolt and then Immaterial Surge. Unless you want to counteract me on map 1. But that is my understanding of how a free action works. Yeah.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
That's how...
Yeah, sorry, I thought they were talking about the actual casting of a psychic power. They were looking at specifically the psychic powers that are a shoot action. That's my bad, guys.
Yeah.
Cool. Yes, that is correct. It defines it very clearly in the core manual. It defines what free action means. So yes, I think they've caught up with us. And now I'm completely off the idea of interviewing or talking, and I'm answering rules questions. So that's great.
You're multitasking here. It's great.
No. So this is a good fun one here. So thank you, John. Can you give an example of something that you playtested that was completely broken?
Can I?
Nope. Legally, no, I cannot.
No, I can't go into too much. I think one thing we did have a lot of entertaining times of doing was balancing custodies. They're really hard. Like to really do them justice, they'd be so powerful that you just have one on the tabletop and to go with the law, and it wouldn't be a game really, would it?
Sure. No, obviously. Yeah, I don't think we've ever.
Yeah.
Like, I know that everybody says, like, hypothetically you could do it, but you'd need a unique game system to mirror how, for example, a single Space Marine would actually, by law, perform. You know, I don't think anybody actually wants that. Yeah, ditto for a custodian.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's just
you want 4 custodians on the table, don't you?
Yeah. Let's just quickly I'm going to ask you like just generic questions because I know you can't answer any of them, and I just kind of want to point that out to chat. Can you tell us are we ever going to get the Gaunt's Ghosts as a kill team? Can you tell us are we ever going to get Kill Team Cassius as a kill team? Can you tell us what's releasing next? Can you tell us are we getting Compendium releases again? And are we getting an Elites expansion? Can you tell us what the next Kill Team box of Kill Team is we're getting?
So, hypothetically, I could sit here and tell you like lots of different releases are coming out, but actually, you'd sit there and you'd be bored for the next however long waiting for these ones to come out. So, I think the best thing is not to tell you anything and just get excited when each release comes out.
Cool.
That's my answer.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if Games Workshop isn't going to tell us things, you're not going to. So that's a nice, easy rule.
Yeah,
I wish you would tell us.
It's not worth my paycheck that I get from them.
Oh, of course, yes, yeah. The £20 note they slide you over a beer. I need to stop reading chat. Sorry.
What I will say is,
So
what I will say is that there's some really cool stuff coming, and I'm so excited about it, and it's killing me having to wait for some of the stuff, but there's some really cool stuff.
So a bit of a side question, maybe. In general, how would you say do the Compendium teams stack up to the Octarius teams?
So I honestly think in general, across the entire game, things are fairly balanced actually. So I know people won't necessarily feel that, but from looking at things, but you're not missing a lot from the Compendium stuff. You miss some of the real sexy more granular rules and stuff that you get in the later kill teams that come along. But in terms of game balance and stuff, it's pretty much there. And like when we did playtesting, most games were actually with even skill level players within a couple of points at the end of most games. I think there's only one game that was a whitewash, and it's very public and it'll be out soon. But otherwise, most games were really quite close actually when we got to the final balanced armies. That's my playtest perspective. But actually, it's as much as you playtest things and as much as you read things and stuff, there will be naturally things that you just didn't see. And when you stick out to thousands of people who are going to play this game, then things will crop up, and hopefully that as an entity that we can, and a community, we can adjust those and make sure that balance is brought back in again.
Okay. I'm gonna ask this chat question now. Who cares what my bullet points even were? This is much easier for me. So I'm gonna ask what Pitstarter asked. I would also say this kind of links back to what I basically interrupted you earlier, because I'm writing a script on it now. But I think it's valid and people are here, so why not? Any suggestions? Oh, somebody is moved. Any suggestions for where to start with teaching this to secondary school kids? We have a kill team club, and they were just getting into grips with the old version, but then pandemic/no club.
I would start with the small team. Go back to it again. It's really boring. Space Marines are a good team to just go back and forth and show how the activations work. And it's I think fairly straightforward for going, hey, it's my turn to activate. These different moves you can do. Your turn to have a go and do it that way and build up from that perspective. And that's pretty much the game, really, isn't it? I think the complicated bit comes from cover. But I think you can then actually, when those interactions come up, you can explain those parts of cover. I think that's probably the best way of doing it, really. I think the thing with the cover, when you try to sit down and try to read those rules, it's actually it's quite tricky to get your head around, I think. But I think as soon as you get models on the tabletop or then show somebody on the tabletop, it's actually really quite straightforward and quite intuitive. So I would probably not throw those rules at them. I would probably show them those rules on the tabletop to get grips with first, and then give them the rules that they can back that up with afterwards.
Okay, I'm going to ask one from John Holt, because he's asked about 10 times. And this is an easy one, because it's just right there in the compendium, and I know the answer to it. But I'll ask you. As the Death Watch, am I correct in thinking that I cannot bring a Death Watch Sergeant with a Xenophase Blade and a combi plasma?
I don't think you can.
You can't. For some reason, you cannot take a combi weapon with anything else, essentially. Because a combi is whatever your attachment is, and it is the Deathwatch bolt gun and a fist.
Yep.
There you go. I don't know if that's balance-wise or if that's taken from 40k, but I know that because I was building some Deathwatch just before I got here. So, yeah, there you go. A good one from Sheldon, but then there's also another one that I think is good to ask as well. I remember the Sheldon one, so I'll come back to that. So Maya account, someone that's learning Maya and 3D, I assume. Why not specify increase operatives APR by 1 until the end of the turning point? But they do. So I don't know why that's asked, because that is a rule that it states there. Yeah, I'm not really asking that, am I? I answered that. It quite clearly states that in the, I think it's in the modifying, it's either in the modifying characteristics thing, or it's somewhere. I think possibly the issue is, and I'm gonna throw this your way. This happens a lot. This is a very weird book. Things don't. I think whoever wrote it kind of imagined a game and then put the rule where it happens in the game, but therefore it's nowhere near the thing when it happens in the rulebook. For example, like, I'm just throwing this out there, like nowhere in the line of sight rules does it tell you what cover does. What's the benefit of cover? Well, you got to go way back to the beginning of the book, and it tells you what the benefit of cover is. I think there are quite a few things like that in there, And I assume that logically
like,
they appear where you need to know them at one point, and then it doesn't appear again, obviously, because you've already written it, and it does
yeah.
come across as a few things
Does
are a bit scattered.
does it then reference it there as well to go back to that page?
No,
No, okay.
no.
Yeah. So the thing that I have is I learned this rules very differently to everybody else
Yeah,
because it was kind of like yeah. So
yeah, indeed.
yeah,
So there you
I've
go.
not really read through those rules in that way. Yeah. Okay. It's good. Sure. It's a good thing to note. You know, it's I'm sure that we can feed that back to guys when they come to write future documents and potentially change that.
Why, in the Compendium, do we not have faction-specific tac ops? Yeah.
Honest answer, I don't know.
Okay. Alright.
If I was to make a stab, it's like every time you have to do it's extra things. I think that's stuff that's really going to come in the later down the line when you get the Octaria style teams.
Sure. But I think that's... I mean, so obviously the Octarius, what that adds to a team is all the narrative, right? Like, you know, I assume the narrative's good. I haven't played it. I don't have time to play that at the moment. But I assume that's all great stuff. But it also adds the faction tac ops, which are, apart from obviously all the data cards and special rules for the team, they are the thing that you can use in the other thing, faction tac ops that you can use in match play. And so I think that is possibly part of what makes it seem like the Compendium is unfinished, perhaps, compared to the
Yeah,
specific kill teams. I don't know. Just
yeah. I view the compendium as it's kind of the baseline, really, isn't it? And then as the more in depth teams come out, then you'll get more flavor and more stuff added in there to make them feel like a fully fleshed out thing. I think that's just my take on it. I don't know what the real answer is there,
okay,
but that's just kind of the feel I get.
fair enough. Oh gosh, I think we can finally go back to the bullet points because we just answered viewer questions for half an hour there.
That's cool.
Yeah, yeah. So, you know what? We've already. Okay. Oh no, these are all negative. What was I thinking when I wrote these?
Oh, what are you
I,
doing to me?
okay. Let's stick with. So these are
I
kind
might
of
have
my.
to go to Games Workshop and do some chess pokings for you guys.
Yeah. Hey, this guy.
And another thing.
Yeah. No. So this is. So look, obviously we're talking to you as if you could tell us anything, and we're talking to you as if you know anything. But like I'm about to. So
Yeah.
I assume that these are things you can't really speak to, either because they're true, and you can't calm me down at all, or
Yeah.
they're things that aren't true, and you're not allowed to say it. So
Okay.
let's just go for it. So
I've
like,
got a really bad poker face, but I giggle
okay,
when I win, I giggle when I lose, so don't take anything from that.
perfect. Okay. So obviously we there's a lot of speculation right now because we saw the what's it called, the roadmap, which hypothetically roadmaps are amazing, but obviously you just kind of
Yep.
said, hey, essentially the roadmap was just we are going to release more things for Kill Team, and then it didn't specify at all.
Yeah.
So fine. Yeah, that was fine. That was the bare minimum. It was technically a roadmap, so thumbs up to GW for that.
Yep.
However, I think a lot of people think that perhaps all we're going to get from now on is more Octavius style releases. Does that mean, and I know you can't answer, does that mean that we are going, no, I'm not asking that, sorry, I'm asking, is there going to be a almost 40k like codex power creep? Because we've all seen how 40k is releasing, right?
Yep.
There's power creep. Cool. It's not debatable. There is. Are we going to be in for something like that?
I'm not sure how much I can talk about the process, but from my perspective, like I do my utmost to make sure that it's balanced. So I think a balanced game is what everybody really wants. Some people don't. Some people want the next great thing, but I think on the whole, I think most people, and I think the whole of the game benefits from balance. I think what you will see is exciting stuff coming with different mechanics.
Okay.
Yeah, that's really all I can say about that, I guess.
Okay, fair enough. And then the other one was, so I actually don't play Necromunda, but when I hear about it, one of the first things I hear is everybody says, I don't know, there's the name of a site, which is like get the rules here, because there are so many
Yak
books.
Tribe, I think, isn't
Oh
it?
yeah, that's the name. Yeah, Yak Tribe.
Yeah.
Like there are so many books. Just get the rules here. Don't even try and keep up. Are we going to end up in a similar situation?
Again, I can't really talk about releases and stuff, but yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's going to be. I think the game's going to be healthy.
Okay. Okay. Fair. All right. Uh,
But what I would say is, I know lots of people like to go to like torrent sites and download stuff, and this is a great game. And the only way this game keeps going is by people buying the stuff. And Games Workshop is a company, isn't it? So if people keep buying the stuff, they'll keep making cool stuff. But if we stop buying the stuff, then they probably pull plugs on things, I guess. But I don't know. That's just my take on it, really. So
telling people to
I
legally
encourage
buy
people.
things is not going to go down well on an internet chat. Let me tell you that right now. Okay. I'm going to have to
Yeah.
ignore chat for the next 10 minutes because of that. Yeah. Okay. I don't know. Are there any other kind of like fun things we can talk about? I don't know. Like I just got you on because I wanted to talk about Kill Team. There was never a plan to this. Um,
Uh,
yeah. I don't know.
I don't. I think the game's really fun and engaging. Just I think small things like the way you do the scouting step of having the three dice in your hand and then having to outplay you. Like initially, when I was doing that, I was just like going, "Oh, what things are really beneficial to me?" But then as you get through that scouting step, and actually you kind of try to think about what the other guy's going to have, because if you want first turn, you're going, he's going to go for that one, so I'm going to go for this one, but he might then play me, and you have this like sort of spoofing off against each other just before you start the game. So I think it's quite cool. I
Yeah.
think
Okay.
that sort of level of intensity continues through the game in terms of just that counterplay that happens. And I just find it very tactical throughout, really, and I've really enjoyed it. I only expected to play test for a short period of time, but actually, because I was mainly a 40k player, but I've really enjoyed this game so much that actually I've switched across now, and I've got so many different kill teams that I'm working on in the background right now, and it's quickly become my favorite game. I think partly because the game itself is just so fun and engaging, but the accessibility of it as well, like just being able to have it on your tabletop, really, rather than having to have a big 6 foot by 4 foot table and being able to have your mates around or go around to their house and carry all your stuff in one box and stuff. I think it's just a fantastic game. And from what I've seen from the community as well, it seems like a really yesterday aside, I think it's a really positive community as well.
Okay. Cool.
So what have you really enjoyed about it so far?
I really enjoyed how so I mean I don't think this is inherently a good thing, like in all games, but the games that I have played so far, I haven't had any downtime. I think that the back and forth, how quick it is, I'm not saying the game finished quickly, but I'm saying I
Yeah,
felt like it did. There was even obviously in 40k, you can literally walk away for half an hour as they move, right? Even in Kill Team, you can kind of go away for like 10 minutes. And you know, old Kill Team, obviously. In this one, you literally can't. You are constantly engaged. And because of that,
yeah,
it feels very quick. Obviously, a lot of people will have already played games with full activations, but I think because the core of this is, as the GWPR likes to say, streamlined, which I mentioned earlier, well, not literally, there are 4 things you do. Are you going to move? Are you going to shoot? Are you going to charge? Or are you going to fight? That's basically what you're doing. And so therefore playing
yeah,
is very quick. Because yeah, it's quick. And I quite like that. I really felt engaged. It's possible I get to a point where I don't know, whatever. You know,
yeah.
it's no longer engaging. I don't know. But at the moment, it's good. Yeah, that's my favorite thing.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
How about the new dice mechanics with the like the 4 attack dice or 3 attack dice for shooting, etc., and the defense? How have you found that?
Sorry, I was reading chat. People are arguing. What did you
No,
say?
that's all right. How about the new dice mechanics with like with the way you roll your weapon stats and the fidelity that
Yeah, okay.
you get with that?
It's okay, so this is just my brain. I'm clearly very slow. But when I was first reading things like from the book before I played, I was kind of struggling. No, not struggling. I was reading things in a certain way. As soon as I started actually rolling dice and moving a model at the same time, it completely recontextualized all of the stats for me. Um,
Yeah,
and now that I've done it, I kind of understand what 3 defense means. When I first saw that everything had 3 defense, I was kind of confused because, and I openly said this on my channel, the idea was always that in my head, it's like, oh, so now there's all this granularity. Something could have anything. Something could have 1 defense, another thing could have 10 defense, right? Like they could do
yeah,
anything with these numbers. But then we saw everything so far has had 3 defense. And I was like, oh, I was let down. I was like, oh, but, huh? I thought, I didn't, I stayed positive, but I didn't really get it. And I felt it was a bit of a missed opportunity. Since then, since playing, I have recontextualized what 3 defense means.
yeah,
And I have, and now how guns work make more sense. And so the difference between a 3 attack gun and a 4 attack gun, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, there is a reason for this. Statistically, on the curve, it has an effect. I'm not saying
yeah,
that's good, like, because I'm sure there's a game system out there where you do have that wide range of defense dice and attack dice, but for this game, as it is written now, that's what we're playing. I do get why everything is now 3 defense. Um, I think so for, and this is because I'm new, right? So I don't know the optimum thing to do, but I am quite enjoying the melee combat as well because I'm still having to think,
yeah,
okay, do I crit? Do I spend the crit? Do I parry first? And it's actually a fun little conversation between me and my opponent. I'm sure that goes away
yeah.
once it's like, oh yeah, well you always spend the crit first, or you always block the crit, blah blah blah. But yeah, it's quite fun. Like because it's new, it's fun.
Yeah, I find it quite difficult actually to get my headspace into the right place because it's so different, isn't it? When you start reading like what the statistics are for the different weapons, it really takes a while, a couple of games to go. That makes sense. So when you think like burst cam and stuff, it's like that should have so many attacks. But actually, if you start going too many attacks, when you start outweighing the defense dice that much, it's such a swing, isn't it? And
Yeah.
I think with the fighting side of things, I like the fact that you have to take that moment and think about it because
Mm.
I don't know, probably about 8 and 10 times it's kind of it kind of what to do, but there's those 2 and 10 times you actually like
Mm.
this makes a difference now whether I let this person take the stab first or whether I parry those attacks. It can make a difference.
Yes. Yeah. What's your favorite aspect of it?
For me, I really enjoy the cover. I find it quite difficult to get my head around initially. I think I'll be quite honest about it, but actually, once I then played it and saw it, I just love that interaction. And for me, it was Gears of War. I was playing Gears of War on the tabletop, and that was one of my favorite games as a teenager. So being able to play that on the tabletop and like take cover and shoot things and stuff, that was I really enjoyed that.
Okay. I have to ask because they keep talking about it. I mean, in between calling me a shill that is just enjoying Kill Team so I can get more subscribers, in between complaining about me saying I walk away from the table. What's your dinner? Is it
It's
yeah.
chilly. I asked I asked my partner to leave it on the side. I didn't
Oh,
leave
okay.
it to the side next to me. I'm on the side in the kitchen, but
So everybody's very
she's
interested.
very kind.
Okay.
Yeah, it's chili with avocado. And yeah, I'll have that later.
Little Weezer Boy there asking me about my ex. Clearly missing that it was a joke. Anyone that plays Warhammer is a virgin. So don't know what he's talking about there. So I thought now it might be a bit of fun to quickly go through the compendium, which I have right here. And I thought maybe you could pull out, I don't know, like an
Never.
interesting thing to say about each faction, perhaps. Like doesn't have to be big, doesn't have to be long. I'm using really weird terms. I'm sorry. Uh, I don't know, just say something about whether it's about the equipment or how you personally like to run it or something like that.
Yeah.
Obviously, we start with Space Marines, so nice and easy.
Right. So my personal, I really like the Phobos parts in here. The infiltrators, I really like those for
Okay.
the lethal 5+.
That
Is
lethal
really
5
quite
plus does. I've actually just finished painting some infiltrators, so they're coming. They're coming.
good. Yeah.
You know what? Sorry, quick aside.
It's surprising how.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry.
No, sorry, keep going.
No, go for it.
Oh no, I was going to ask a question about my marine team I'm building purely for myself. So you finish your thought first, and then I'll ask me.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so I really like the Phobos thing. So for me, like the cursors and the infiltrators can be really, really good. That lethal 5+. It's surprising how much that comes up and how much it makes difference. It's not necessarily the extra damage. It's the fact that they then have to either throw 2 saves at it or a crit save to negate that damage, which is actually really
Really
huge.
big. Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, I think that's one of the things that once you start playing a game, suddenly it kind of clicks. It's like, oh wow, lethal 5+ is actually huge. When you're rolling 4, 5
Yeah.
dice, lethal 5+ is a big deal. Yeah.
Yeah, because if you think like I know previously, if something had a 5+ thing, like whatever, because you're only on 1 dice set. But as soon as you're rolling 3 or 4 dice at it, and then once you get that crit, then they can't. They need to then expend either 2 dice or crit to stop it. It's huge. It really is good.
Right.
Similarly, that no cover that the incursors get there as well is really quite good as well, because it means they're not going to be able to take that automatic defense dice against it.
I've had kind of a playtest question maybe. I mean, do you actually or maybe a design question? Do they actually like run the numbers on this and are like, right, we know that statistically this one is actually slightly better. Like, how do you know how they figure that out? Or is it part of the play testing or
I imagine so. I'm not necessarily privy to like a lot of the actual design parts of it. I come in to actually play out and see if it's fun engaging actually, if that feel of the balance is about right.
Okay. Fair enough.
So I imagine that sort of thing is done in the background though, because it kind of makes sense really, isn't it? Because it's
You'd
dice,
assume
which is
so.
numbers.
Yeah.
But it's
Numbers. Okay.
numbers.
Oh. Okay. So you know what? I'm gonna ask this because I've just opened it to the heavy intercessor page.
Yep.
I'm going to use the example that everybody else has also used. Heavy intercessors versus 4 custodies. How is that fair? Thoughts?
Go 4 custodies. Just go for the boys in gold. There you go. There's your problem solved for you.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I can't answer that one.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Okay. So that's
Maybe I'll go away and think about that next time we chat about it. I'll have a bit more of the depth and knowledge-based discussion on custodians.
Okay. Would you say there is a particular piece of equipment for Marines that is like everyone you gotta have it? Or
Okay, yeah. So smoke grenades. Smoke grenades are really good.
okay.
So they essentially put a piece of cover in the table that you can't really get around.
Okay.
Well, you can't shoot through. Yeah, very, very good. And it's quite a large radius as well. So it's radius white, so that's 4 inches across. So that's quite a large area that you're smoking out.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you're running those guys, then it's only the the Phobos and the Scouts type operatives that can use those. So again, goes back to why I quite like playing the Phobos guys because they've got
they can
just
use
a couple
that
more
cool
tricks
stuff.
in them. Yeah.
Okay. I just want to throw it out
Oh,
there.
and they've got the Haywire Miners, which is really good as well.
Is the Haywire mine good? Okay.
Yeah, it's really good.
Okay.
More psychological than actually firepower wise, because it just means that people tend to avoid that area. Or you can put it on an objective or near an objective. And point to note as well is that explosion actually goes through the cover as well, potentially. So it's pretty tough.
Okay. Oh, somebody's asked about Auspex, and as we are on that page, Auspex seems quite a good piece of equipment too. Oh, yeah. I would hope they're all quite good pieces of equipment. Otherwise, what's the point? In certain situations,
Yeah,
right?
I think these guys have some really cool stuff, actually. Yeah, it's
Oh, what a
really good.
That's good. It's lucky.
Yeah, so yeah, I think, but my top pick for Space Marines for me is the Phobos stuff with smoke grenades, and that high wire grenade as well is really quite cool. That's my go-tos.
Oh, so one thing I want to point out to people is because I originally read this wrong. I originally thought each operative could have one piece of equipment, but that's not true at all, is it? It's each operative can be equipped with no more than one of each type. So yeah, so you can put everything onto a single guy essentially if you want to do that.
Yeah.
I'll say you
should.
If
you want to Leroy Jenkins them in somewhere,
great.
And you can take multiples of things as well, which is really quite good as well.
Oh yeah, so like everyone could have a shot grenade or something.
Yeah.
Onto the Grey Knights. Any thoughts there?
I guess. I think they're just generally pretty solid, really, aren't they?
Oh, okay.
The fact that they're you're still getting, I think it's 5 guys in some of these, and they've got the psychic powers to boost them up as well. It's I think they're a strong Marine to go with. I think they're just a really good all-rounders, really.
Okay. Oh.
Have you played with them yet?
Yes. Yeah, they were, I consider them my main, so they were the first thing I played against somebody else with. Yeah. Again, they allowed me to recontextualize my thinking about stats. Because again, you're rolling more dice, so you're like, oh, it's going to be more effective. Not necessarily. So Stormbolters, really good, right?
Yeah.
Stormbolters with Relentless, like, really good. But you know what? Just like in 40k, if you're firing them into Marines have a 3-up armor save. And that, again, allowed me to see just how good AP is on weapons. Removing a defense dice is big. So, yeah.
Yeah, plasma.
Yes.
Plasma weapons, if you have an option for those, go plasma.
I have definitely noticed that as well, even without overcharging it. Like, removing a defense dice is huge, from what I've seen.
Yeah, so with my guard, because I normally do the take aim, so I get reroll 1s. Overcharge that, it's a pretty safe bet.
Right.
I always overcharge. I probably shouldn't always, but yeah, I tend to do it most of the time.
Hey, AP too, yeah, that's pretty good.
AP too, yeah.
So
I think the Grey Knights are just overall just a really solid team, and it's one that at some point I will get because I think they're going to be really fun to play with as well.
Okay.
And I think in Kill Team it kind of fits them really. I never really saw them as being like a mass army on the battlefield. I think having a few guys going out doing operations and doing different things kind of a bit more fitting for these guys.
Okay. Right. Rules question. So as I flipped the strategic ploys of the Grey Knights, right? Until the end of this is Tide of Celerity. So I think we need a clarification on how this is played. All right. Until the end of the turn point, each time a friendly Grey Knight operative performs a charge action, it can move an additional 1, so black triangle, for that action. Yep. This just means 1 inch further, so you're charging 9 inches, right?
Yeah.
Now, is there any situation where something like that gets applied to every circle that you move? So if something says you move triangle, is it ever more than 1 inch total?
No, and I think this is probably. I think there's a subtly different way of rules writing in this, and at times it seems quite pedantic. But once you get into your head into the way the rules are written, this one here, for me, I can see where people may come up with that, but it can move an additional black triangle.
Yeah, so that was how I first read it, but then somebody pointed out that as most things move 3 circle, this is essentially a dash. And I was like, oh, that could be legit then. Like, it's essentially a free dash for a CP. Yeah, but no, it's just 1 inch.
Yeah.
Cool, okay.
Yeah.
Malev-Shinobi asked a question. Have I been simply referencing the books? Have I written all down the stats? I just have the books with me. That's why I got them coil bound. This bad boy right here. There you go. Coil bound.
Yeah, I'm looking to do the same. That's a really good idea.
Yeah. Although, as you said, I forgot to take my fluff section out. Yeah, that was my mistake.
Yeah, you're not a true competitive gamer yet, are you?
No. Well, you know, I'm a fluff bunny, really. So. Was there anything on the equipment for the Grey Knights that stand out to you, or just?
I think so. Ammunition was one thing I thought was pretty good, and the psych-out grenades as well are pretty handy to have.
Psych-out grenades, okay.
At times.
Oh, you know what? I want to jump straight to something for the Tau because you mentioned the grenades, right? They have a piece of equipment. Oh, this is good content. Oh wait, photon.
Let's just sit here flicking through our books that nobody else has right now.
Yeah, exactly. This is good. Okay, so.
Although didn't you say some of the guys had already made it into PDF documents and distributed it straight away?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So let's talk about the photon grenade, right? So this is a grenade.
Yeah.
I believe that you like the Tau, so I'm sure this is a piece of equipment you know well. Now, to be clear, this doesn't have a range, right? This isn't a 6-inch range grenade. You could use this across the entire map. Is that intentional?
Let me have a quick read this.
I will talk to chat whilst you read that.
Yeah, you talk to chat.
Okay. Hi, chat. What's up? Sorry, it's been so long. I can't multitask, basically. That's how that goes. Right, does anybody have any questions whilst I'm here and actually reading chat? Are assault incestors totally eclipsed by reavers? Oh. I want to say no. Why would you say that? Let me look. Now we've got both of us looking at different stats for different reasons. Great. I'm not going to do that. Sorry, I'm not going to flick through the book. What do we got? GHD is a shield kill team. That's facts. Facts. GW pays me. You know what? I worked hard. I worked 3 years, 400 videos, at least an hour a video, sometimes more. And they gave me a £125 box. That's why I did it. Makes it all worth it. Yeah.
So it's the photon grenade.
Sorry, yes.
I would say yes, it is because you're subtracting red. Sorry, you're subtracting 1 from the result if it's greater than red from the operative. So if I remember rightly, I think the photon grenades does that actually get fired out from underneath the carbine thing.
Oh, is that why?
Yeah.
That was all we needed. Yeah. We needed that thematic answer, the fluff answer. It's fired from the little thing.
In fact, I think they've even put a picture right next to it, haven't they? So if you look on the page there's actually a Tau Tau Pathfinder with a little.
Oh, sorry. I was like, you're referencing your rules document again. Yes, they have. That's true, but I didn't really put that together. I didn't know that was a thing. Yeah. Oh, that answers it easy. Yeah. Jeez, all these guys.
Previously they used to have some sort of Overwatch thing where they'd fire them on Overwatch or something, and they'd get. I think it'd go strike last in 40k or something. I remember.
All right. Well, there you go.
There we go.
Right.
You said you had another question before.
Not really. People just asking questions now. This is entirely my fault because I did ask for them, I suppose. Right, we've got how do we think demons perform? I think, well, I've looked at Dynamas. I think there's nothing wrong with them at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think they've got a good selection there as well, haven't they, to choose from?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Right, what else we got? Does the unique icon of decay affect all friendly? Oh, well, that's a nice, fun, crunchy rules question. Does the unique action icon of decay affect all friendly bubonic Astartes within blue square, or does it affect only one? Would you like to answer that?
Just not on.
Because I don't know.
Okay, so I think we still need to caveat all this stuff. This is Wes's view on the world, and
Oh
if there are
yes,
proper FAQs
indeed.
need to come out,
This,
then
yeah. This all needs to go into an FAQ, which, by the way, I have an official FAQ channel in my Discord server. If you have questions, please like format it well and put it in that channel. Because another playtester, not Wes, has said that he will forward that channel to the developers. So anything there should, assuming it's not so basic they think it's just us misreading something, I don't know, like, or it all has a potential to actually get answered and end up in an FAQ if we do that. Otherwise, they're just gonna have to guess. Oh, I've scrolled and it's gone. Mirror terrain for match play. Sorry, yeah.
So that to me sounds like a bubble. So we always have essentially within blue and visible without friendly bubonic Astartes operative.
Okay. You know what? Let's burn through like all these questions as quick as we can. How do we? No, I just asked that. Mirror terrain for match play or not?
I know people are really keen on mirror terrain, aren't they? And I'm less so on it. But I do like things to be straight. I can't do things that are all different angles. That really upsets me.
Okay.
Yeah, I think some degree of mirroring for competitive stuff is more common, isn't it?
Yeah. What about using the old terrain sets? Sure.
Yeah, they work. Yeah, so yeah. The rules I think work across all the terrain that's out there pretty much.
Opinion on Deathwatch vets?
I like them.
They look good to me.
Yeah. They look really good. They've got flexibility of the weapons and stuff. Yeah. I think if you want flexible Marines that most people sound like they want, then Deathwatch are rightfully the guys to go with.
Yeah. Did the drone rules for Tau start out as restrictive as they are, or did they become more or less restrictive during testing?
I don't think I can really talk about the details of the testing
fair
stuff.
Enough. Let's move on.
I think, yeah.
Tabs, yes, we should have put tabs in our books. To be fair, we didn't really know we were going to be doing this. I didn't really know we were just going to be reading through rules books. What was the logic behind
for the past 2 weeks? Actually, I've been meaning to put tabs in my book because
tabs would be really helpful.
And you know, I think the Age of Sigmar book that just came out recently with the guys with it's all spiral bound and it has the tabs in it. I think that is the way you make a book. Awesome. And I liked the way it's all referenced in there as well. That works my brain very well.
You'd almost think they could have done it here.
Would be nice.
Okay.
Yeah, right. I like the spiral binding stuff. It works for me.
Oh yeah, no, totally. Me too. What was the logic behind the removal of Xenophase Blade and Combi Weapon for Deathwatch Sarge?
I don't know on that one.
Okay, cool. This game completely eschews filling out data cards like the older version? Question mark. Or does the data cards only come into narrative play in this version? So I guess that's no, yeah.
Let's just say the only thing you really need to fill in if you're doing if you're doing match players is the roster, really, isn't it? That's the thing you really need to fill in.
Okay. Right. Somebody's having trouble interpreting supportive fire tactical ploy. I have heard people questioning this one before about when does something count as being blocked or some such. I haven't read it. I think the Tau looks super strong. I'm scared of facing the Tau, that's for sure. Is it intentional that the photon grenade can make an injured model unable to move at all, or just an oversight? Don't know.
It's removing white, isn't it? Oh, so it's only going to prevent somebody moving if they've
If they're already injured. Wait, why would you be -1
injured.
APL? APL can never be modified by more than one. I assume that's what they're talking about.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is there something further than that?
So it's subtracting one white from its movement characteristic,
Oh.
and it cannot perform a dash. So I don't.
I
So it's
don't
only
think it can
removing
do that.
one white.
I assume. I mean, all town moves
So
3, right? And if you're
yeah,
injured, then you'll be moving 2, and logically it can take you down to only moving 1, right?
1, yeah.
And
Yeah.
worst case, you can always dash, I assume. Bit of a guess.
I cannot perform a dash action. So I think where that may
okay.
come in is the Nurgle guys that start off at 2, but I think they stay at 2, don't they? If I remember right, I can't.
Oh,
The Nurgle, because they've got a movement of 2 white.
Oh, gotcha.
I think that's only going to come into effect if it's 2 white. And offhand, I can't remember what happens to those Nurgle guys.
Okay. They're talking about injured neck.
Yeah, it's part of.
Yeah.
Oh, injured neck ones. A pass. I don't.
Okay.
Don't know. I'll make a note and I'll see if we.
Well, there you go. We'll
get
find out.
On that.
Cool. All right. Well, that got a little bit into the weeds. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Again, guys, please go to my Discord. Format all of these questions into the I think it's called official FAQ rules. Like, put them in there. Hopefully, we will have answers soon. There you go. That's right.
Good idea.
Imperial Guard kill team. So I'm curious about this one because obviously when I was looking at greenskins, I was like, oh, I'm not going to play these because commandos are just clearly better. That was my take on that.
Yep.
But I can actually see a reason to play Astra Militarum over Veteran Guardsman. What's your take on them?
Okay.
That okay was that? No.
I just play the Veteran Guardsman because they've got just more stuff that you can use, really, haven't they?
Well, yeah, sure, that is true. That is true.
Yeah.
Okay, fair.
But I think at their core, they're very similar, aren't they? What makes you more likely to take the regular Guardsman?
Oh no, sorry, I just meant they are a team, unlike greenskins, which I don't think are a team. To put it blunt, I can't see any reason I would ever play greenskins once I have commandos. Okay. Yeah, whereas I can see a reason here. I guess mainly because I like scions. And not just scions, but it is very clearly, different stat line. And you could make it a team of 10 instead of 14, which I realize you can do.
I really like the scions, actually. I think, and I think it's a nice thing with this system, the granularity that you can go to with weapon stats and actually make them feel different as well. Which is very difficult to do with standard 40k or old rules.
Oh, okay. So this is something I've seen asked. Strategic Ploys. Let's see if you know this one.
Yes.
All right. Guardsman Orders. Okay.
Yeah.
The way it's worded very strangely.
Okay.
I'll read it. All friendly Tempestus Scion operatives and all friendly Guardsman operatives within red of and visible to a friendly Guardsman Sergeant operative are issued that Guardsman order. Does this mean, like, should there be a comma in there? I mean that Tempestus Scions can be anywhere on the map and they do not need to be within red of the Guardsman Sergeant, and it's only Guardsman that needs to be within red of the Guardsman Sergeants? What's going on there? Do you know?
No, I believe that's both have to be within red and visible. That's how I read it.
We need that in the FAQ because we argued about that. And it's like, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I'm not one for the Oxford comma. That's just
fair enough. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. I mean, that was how I read it. I said it's all one sentence, so they have to be within red. Like, but apparently it's vague enough that we need that to get that FAQ.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, I read that very much as, the 10 pesticides and the guardsmen have to be red and visible for them to get the benefit.
Yeah.
I think that's very much the intent of that.
Yeah. Some people in chat are talking about whatever it is, laminating cards, photocopies of cards. I think that's something that needs to happen over here. At least I'm going to do it for mine. I'm going to take whatever my lists are, my roster. I'm going to print out all of the data sheets. If I really get into it, I'm even going to Photoshop those data sheets so that it's a picture of my model in the little triangle. And I'm also going to remove the weapons they're not using, so it's just the weapons they actually have. And I'm going to put the USRs onto the sheet so I never need to look at the general USRs. That'll be, that won't take too long. That'll be easy enough. And then I'm also going to print out equipment cards, because obviously that's one of the big things. How do you track where your equipment's going? And so I'm just going to have some equipment cards, put them on top of the data cards. Boom. Never need to think about it. That's my plan.
That's kind of my plan as well. So I'm going to get almost like a clipboard that's metallic, and then I can always then have the guys already on there, and then I can just magnetize little things and stick them on there.
Okay.
As you're going through, yeah.
Let's.
It would have been nice to have. It would have been nice to have cards actually, wouldn't it? I think that'd have been.
I mean, I don't want to be asking for more things to give my money to GW for, but actually, I would have liked equipment cards and data cards for this. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. Certainly with the Octaris set, where you could have had the guys in there, that'd been really good.
Yes. Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm genuinely surprised they didn't. My conspiracy theory is that they are going to release, when they eventually release the individual box for those, they're going to have the data cards in and the equipment cards, so we have to buy them again. That's what that's GW.
You're not a trusting man at all, are you?
I learned from experience.
In fact, because of you, now they're going to do that. I don't think that was an idea before. Now you've said it. Games Workshop. What you need to do is not put it in the main set and then put it in the small box set, just so that's how Dead can go and buy them afterwards.
I will. So fine. Yeah. Yeah. I won't even complain.
You're welcome, Games Workshop. Their stock price has just jumped up because of you.
I don't know. Less said about their stock price and how crazy that is, the better. Let's talk about the Adeptus Mechanicus. Now, I think these guys look super strong. The fact you could take 2 gunners, potentially therefore up to 4 gunners, they're terrifying, right? How is that balanced? Hashtag how is that balanced in the new kill team? I'm very confused. I'm not really asking that. Sorry, I'm just saying it seems really strong. Yeah.
They are really strong. They are really strong. I think where they suffer a little bit is they're kind of like guard in terms of their survivability. They've got a bit of a better armor save, but on the whole, the firepower output is pretty good actually, isn't it? And the weapons they can choose, but I think they can only take 2 special weapons. Is that right?
Skitari Ranger Fire Team can only include up to 2 Skitari Ranger. Yeah, Fire Team, you could take 2 gunners. But must be equipped with different weapons. So they could potentially take a maximum of 3.
A maximum 3. And I think that's when you compare these to the guards guys, where the guards can take more firepower there. And you can take more guys to the guard as well. So I think when you look at them compared to the guard, they're a little bit more resilient. So they've got a little bit more higher firepower, but they have less of it. So I think that's kind of where I see their balance. But on the whole, you're right. These guys are really good, and this is one of the kill teams that I actually want to make. I just keep playing every kill team and just wanting to make a new kill team. So it's going to be at the point where I thought every single kill team, because I look at this one and go, this is so much fun.
Yeah,
but these are cool.
Oh, so here's an interesting question. Actually, I think it's pretty clear. So, sorry, he's just asked because we're here. Lux asked, can you clarify if 2 Ranger/Vanguard fire teams have 10 or 11 models? From it seems to very clearly be 11. Would you like to clarify that? Because typically, when wording things, it says instead of choosing X, you can replace it with a thing, and here it just says you can include a
does
alpha.
not include. Yeah, it does sound that way,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
Yep. I'm not sure if that's how it's meant to be, but the way it's written, that's how it is. So yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you just look at the very next page on Sicarians, it says instead of selecting a Sicarian trooper, you can include a Frostalker, a princess.
Yep.
So yeah, that is 11 people. I feel like that might not be how it's supposed to be, but who knows? Right. Yeah, I also think they look just crazy because you can take 4 guys with power weapons and guns.
Yep.
Yeah, they look really strong. I recently sold
So,
all of my admech, so.
I know.
Yeah.
Wounda. No, I think you're right because when you read that, it very deliberately says in the other one instead of selecting. When they use it, it says you take. So if that's different, I'm sure that'll get corrected later. But I think the way that says right there, you're right.
Yeah. So we're about to move on to the Ecclesiatry, and somebody has asked a question, which is a valid question. Firstly, what's your take on the Ecclesiatry team? Anything interesting happening there?
I don't know. I'm just one of those people who's always really struggled to get excited by these teams. I don't know.
Oh, really?
I've never really. Yeah, I've really tried to, especially like the new models and stuff coming out. I've just never ever been excited by Sisters of Battle.
Okay.
But in terms of how they are, I think some people complained about not having acts of faith and stuff in it as well. I think it's probably a valid point, really, isn't it? In terms of how they feel, really. But in terms of stat line, they pretty much write themselves, really, don't they? Because they've got bolt guns, which would be the same bolt guns that you get on Space Marines, and they're going to have a few less wounds in Space Marines because they're not quite as tough. So,
but they get the 3-up save. So,
I bet they get the 3-up save. Yeah. So, yeah. It's just very much a personal thing, and I'm sure lots of people do get very excited about these. But I just never have done.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
So there is an interesting question here. So apparently, the way it's written, you can take 2 icon bearers. I feel like that maybe isn't how it should be, but what do I know? Yeah. And somebody earlier was talking about why do you have to take 2 fire teams to be able to take a heavy gunner? I didn't really understand why he was asking that question, because that's just balance. I assume that's just a balancing mechanic. Also, I believe in 40k, you need a 10-man squad to take a heavy weapon, don't you? Like, it's not like you restricted it and you can take a heavy weapon with a 5-man squad in 40k. I think so. It's just consistent.
Yeah.
And a balancing mechanic.
Yeah. That's
okay.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
Fair enough. All right. Well, as they're not really your thing, your vibe and all, we move past.
Is there anything? Is there anything you find interesting about them at all?
No, I don't think they're weak at all. Not at all. I think they'll be totally fine. I think because I'm trying to figure out what factions do I want to play, like which faction do I want to main, right? So I'm kind of looking through, and I'm like, oh, maybe Sisters, maybe the Ecclesiatry. What are they doing for me? And I'm looking at the 8 wounds, and I'm like, I feel like I'm already going to be playing a lot of 8 wound or 7-8 wound teams, because I have like 1,000 points of Craftworld Eldar, and I probably want to take them through to kill team. And do I really want to have and then probably Harlequins too? And do I really want to have all of my teams be essentially the same? Well, not essentially the same, but feel similar in regards to how quickly they die. And I'm kind of thinking probably not. So because they are like third or fourth in line of that type of datasheet, I'm kind of thinking maybe not. Yeah.
Okay.
Which is such a shame, because I think, unlike you, I think they have amazing sculpts. I really like how they look. Yeah.
Yeah, Joe, I really do like the sculpts, and
Okay.
I like them from a modeling perspective. I've just never really just got in.
Okay.
I guess I'm a quite competitive player, but I also like the narrative stuff, and I've just never really got into the narrative of these at all. It's just
Oh,
yeah, sculpts are lovely, really nice.
yes. So just quickly stepping back, this is to the Imperial Guard team. This is very obvious.
Yeah,
Why does the do you know what it is? Why does the Guardsman Gunner have Why does the Guardsman Gunner have a 3-up save? Because it needs to be errated. Yeah.
yeah, I would say
There you
so,
go.
wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think probably.
Yeah,
There you go.
yeah, I think
Yeah,
that looks like a mistake.
I
What a
think it might
mistake
be.
to make. There we go.
I know, right? I know. Anyway, oh, we
Yeah,
get on to the Talons of the Emperor. Okay, now we're talking.
yeah, boys in
So,
gold. These are the
so I think this is. I don't know why, but for some reason, this is the team I'm hearing the most talk about. Possibly because they seem just on in paper like, how do I kill it? Right? Like they are
yeah,
very definitely scary, right?
yeah,
And obviously we know how custodians were in the previous game. It was really, I think I coined the phrase, and I was gonna make merch for it on a t-shirt, but I never did. I can't remember it now, but like, custodians, the fun killer, because they're just, back then they just weren't really fun to play against. You either did nothing, or you won somehow, but you still did nothing. It
yeah.
wasn't. They weren't a great team to play against. I
Yeah,
assume
and
it's a bit
enjoy.
different now. Oh, hold on.
They are nails. Like
Yeah,
they are custodians, and they should be nails. But I'd say whenever I've played these, you really have to focus fire on them to take them down
yeah,
because you see it's 18 wounds with the 2+ save and stuff, and you've really got to maximize your special gunners, especially like things like the guard or the admech and stuff to really try to take these guys down.
yeah.
Once you do get them down to 3 people, they struggle to play the mission so much.
Right.
So they are really limited. So if they're having to hold objectives or be near objectives, and you've only got 3 of them, they're going to have to steal those objectives in order to maintain them. So that's where, when you do play these guys, yes, they are tough. But yeah, you have to outplay them mission wise. Personally, because of that reason, when I have played these, I play a combo of sisters and custodians. Just having the 2 custodians go up and punch face, and then having the sisters at the back. Normally just with bolters.
With bolters.
I think that's probably the de facto way to go, really.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's how I'm going to run them. I am going to do a bunch of tests. I'm not a tester, just for myself. Of 4 custodians to see how it plays.
Yeah, man,
But yeah.
give it a go. It's fun. It's
Yeah,
because they got 4 APL as well, which is just
yeah.
like
You're doing lots of
which is
stuff.
just something different.
Yeah,
Yeah, like it's really cool, and they are a lot of fun to play with, and they are an interesting challenge to play against.
yeah.
That's my political way. There we go.
Uh, what somebody? Oh, What's your method for keeping track of each operative's remaining wounds? What are you doing?
I've got dice. In fact, I just
Okay.
bought some D12s yesterday, actually. So yeah, so
D12s.
just keep these next to them ready.
Fair. How
Going back to what we
often
were
do
saying
you
before, I
knock
want to
one
make
over?
the little
Oh,
yeah. So going back to what I said before is I want to make those little cards up and have little things. So I'm gonna then just have it placed there. I think is
yeah,
what I
yeah.
want to do in the
I think
future.
that's what I'm gonna be doing. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Trait-
like making gizzards and stuff like that. So
Yes. Yeah. I like what's it called? Bling. I like having a lot of random things I don't need. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. So those play sheets and stuff. That's why I made loads of those for 40k. Like just little crib sheets, all like the strategics, or like strategic, what we call them. Well, stratagems and stuff, and all the
okay.
different things. I just used to make the sheets up and like give them out to people and stuff.
Oh,
But yeah,
like
I'll do this
the
some sort of
cheat
thing for
sheets. Yeah.
cheat sheets.
Nice.
Yeah, I just love tinkering those sort of things.
Cool. Traitor Space Marines. Now, I have just begun building myself a few Traitor Space Marines. I think Traitor Space Marines are getting quite a bit of eyes on them. because of course in 40k currently they suck, apparently, because they haven't got their 2 wounds yet. But these guys actually get 1 more wound than standard tactical marines, so that's cool.
Yep.
What are your thoughts
Veterans of the
on the
long war,
chaos
aren't
here?
they?
Ah, that makes sense. Like, what are they? Are they valid as just 2 Chaos Space Marine teams? Are they better with cultists? Like, when would you take one over the other?
See, with these guys, I think actually taking some cultists is actually really good and really
Yeah.
useful.
Okay.
Because then you get to out activate, and then you get to take objectives and stuff with them as well, just use them as meat shields, and then actually then just keep the space marines back to do what you need to do with them. But there's also a valid reason for just taking a pure space marine army in as well. So it's dealer's choice on that. But I think that's a nice thing about the roster system, isn't it? That you can see what's come to the table, and if you want to out activate people, you want to hold objectives, then you go for the cultists. If you want to punch people in the face, then you'll go full space marine.
Yeah. Now I do have a slight question that's kind of tangenting off a little bit. So this is a bit of a weird question because I just played some games against somebody and his plasma pistol killed like 3 of my guys. So the question I'm about to ask is a bit weird. Do you think, like, how often are you actually using that 6-inch shot? Because obviously coming from the previous kill team, 6 inches is nothing. You would never use that gun. Oh, like once in a blue moon, you would fire a 6-inch shot. Now, like, how often are these 6-inch weapons actually being used?
I like your variation of 6 inches to
Yeah,
6 inches at different times.
it depends who I'm talking to. You know, when it's the ladies, I gotta.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That was terrible.
So yeah, quite often actually. Yeah, quite often.
Okay.
Again, goes back to what I was saying before. Like the first turn, most of the times I'm not really engaging. I'm moving into position. So turns 3 and 4, yeah, the pistols really come into it. Similarly with the veteran guard sergeant, he's got a pistol as well. So actually, it's then a defensive thing. And actually, the melter gun as well. So that's one thing I learned is actually those guys used to try and push them up quite a bit to get them in range. But actually, having a guy with a plasma pistol or a melter gun, which has only got the red range, sat behind cover somewhere, is quite a thing for somebody to think about because then it's going to be an area denial weapon.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Fair enough. Makes sense. Sorry, somebody's asking in chat, pointing out the picture for the Heretic Astartes underneath the stratagem, saying there are 7 models. Does that mean the leader's free? There are only 6 Heretic Astartes in that. I'm just going to throw it out there. Unless I'm blind, you're wrong. Anyway, the answer is you can only take 6 Chaos Space Marines. Yeah. Right. Okay, cool. So I think I'm really leaning towards wanting to play elite teams, so I'm naturally looking towards okay, can I actually make this work with just 6 Space Marines? And I think I mean you get 6 tactical Marines, don't you? So I'm sure I could. I'm still a little bit scared of running the Horde teams, I've got to be honest.
Yeah, enjoy. I for a long time, because you've got so many rules. It's new rules, isn't it? Until you get those really honed down. Actually, I playing with 14 Guardsmen initially. I found it too much.
That's
so
terrifying.
I biased towards this. Yeah, I biased towards the Space Marines, but then as my skill levels kind of improved a little bit since I first began, actually having those ones, and it becomes, like I said previously, it's making decisions about when to make the activations, and that's the real skill of the larger teams.
Sure.
But yeah, there's definitely two different types of play there with these guys.
Okay, now would you say, this is just for me again, would you say I should be running more Bolter Marines for the Heretic Astartes, or should I be doing chainswords and bolt pistols? And then should the cultists be the melee or the shooting? Guide me.
I don't think it really matters too much for the cultists because you're not really using them to kill fake stuff.
Okay, they're the objective
the
grabbers. They're the go pick it up. Okay.
Using up activations and stuff like that. Okay. Yeah, that's kind of what I'd use those for.
Right.
So double check those, and they're group activation too as well, which can be quite useful.
Okay. Okay.
situationally to do things, especially if you've got some missions require you to go up, activate something, and then pick it up and then move. So if you've got a group activation too, having the one guy up there to activate it or do something to it, then the other person then go up and pick it up is actually really quite useful.
Right. So therefore, for
Um,
the Marines, you're kind of thinking they'll be the ones shooting then?
Shooting or going up and punch in the face, yeah, depending. But
Oh, okay.
it depends upon what team you're
Okay.
facing, really, doesn't it? So
Fair.
back into your roster, I'd have set out for some shooting guys, some melee
Right.
guys, and then just some meat. But then for the cultists to go off and do stuff.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. I think I've tapped you as much as I can for my own personal needs there. So we'll move on for the then. Now, Death Guard. Sorry, people were asking a bunch of questions there. It looks like we might have more typos, but we're gonna check. Same for Necrons. They are all movement 2, apart from the Plague Marine champion that's movement 3. That feels like a typo, but he's a champion, so maybe it's not. Any
Yeah,
clues?
I don't recall on that one, to be
Okay.
honest.
Fair.
It could be that I could see it going both ways.
Yeah, we just
Like
need
you
the
say,
FAQ
is
on
a
it.
champion a
Yeah.
little bit better? Yeah.
Okay.
Or if that isn't right, then there won't be an FAQ on it because it's right. Do you
Yeah,
know
of
what I mean?
course. Yeah.
If it is
Well,
wrong, then it'll be an errata.
that's how we have to play it. As soon as there's an errata, everything they don't correct is raw. Yeah. Yeah. Would you say there's any like standouts for the Death Guard?
No, they're just. We said it quite a bit actually. They're just disgustingly resilient during the game. Actually, they're just they're slow, they're droning, and they just struggle to die. But yeah, and some people really enjoy that sort of play style, don't they? Just sticking around, and that's kind of what they do, really.
Okay. How big of an effect do you feel that drop to 2 move actually is?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a movement game, so I think it kind of is a bit of a big deal, but you can still dash for them. So you're just having to give up something there. You're giving up an action point, really, aren't you, to then move and then dash for them
Right.
to get them into position. Where a normal Marine would be just doing that in a normal move.
Yes. Yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
so you don't feel it too much because of the APL3. Again,
Right. Sure.
turn 1 is the movement phase, so that's when you're really going to get them in position. And from then on, then you can take advantage of the firepower from APL2.
Okay. Moving on to, I was going to call them psychic powers. Moving on to the Thousand Suns kill team. So we did talk very briefly about them, and I'm going to ask a very quick question here, just so you can clarify it for some people, which applies to every single team, but I, for somehow, have just looked at them. Obviously, each team has an archetype. The archetype comes into play when you are creating a roster. When you go into a match play game, the way you decide which secondary deck to pick from, you select a valid archetype. Now, we see here, they both have Seek and Destroy. One then has, in addition, security. One, in addition, has recon. Do you have to pick one that they can both use? Or, if I want to play security, I have to take 2 rubric teams?
I'm gonna have to get clarification on that one for you. I
Okay.
don't recall.
Because obviously that would then play in, I assume that would play in quite often. Hold on, you know what? This
Yeah.
might just make sense if I look at Death Guard, if they have different... Oh, okay, well that instantly answers that question. Because the Plague Marines are Seek and Destroy / security, and the Poxwalkers are Infiltrate / security. Oh, no, that doesn't answer anything. Cool. So if you mix them, you have to take security? Well, that'll go into the FAQ and errata. Okay, let's find out.
Yeah, I think that's the case, but I have to clarify for you.
So, okay, so your initial thought, it might change, is it has to be a valid archetype for every team you're taking in.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I need
Okay.
to clarify that.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
I'll get back to you on that one.
No, yeah, I think that's a very valid question. So, Thousand Suns. Psychic powers. They are pretty cool. I think they're pretty
Yeah,
cool.
they are really cool.
I really like
Yeah,
what they've
especially
done with that. Yeah.
yeah, that Doom bolt's really cool. Again, go back to that lethal 5+, and she's like,
Oh
oh,
yeah.
lethal 5+, but actually, that's going off a third of the time, isn't it? So, and
And
2 mortal wounds that just go straight
yeah,
through.
that's really
That's really
nice.
good.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's really good. Oh, so a bit of a question here for so Firestorm has indirect. Now,
Yes.
the way indirect works, you know what? I'm going to read it. I'm going to read it so that we're all on the same page. Metaphorically. Indirect. Each time a friendly operative makes a shooting attack with this weapon, in the select valid target step of that shooting attack, enemy operatives are not in cover. Therefore, I can validly select someone that is on a conceal order within an inch of cover because they are not in cover, right?
Yeah, because it's part of the select
There you go. There you
valid
go.
target step.
Yeah,
Yeah.
excellent.
And
Just wanted, yeah,
there's a couple of rules that come into that sort of thing, and you really have to, when you see that what step it comes in. My top tip really is go back to that bit in the book, read what that bit says, and it'll become make a bit more sense.
okay. Somebody's asking if you can explain the playtest process, but like, I assume you can't. Essentially, yeah.
No,
There you go.
unfortunately not. No,
Cool. That's fine. I just wanted to
we
make
play
sure I've
test it.
asked. That's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Oh, so now people are going through and figuring out whether or not the archetype thing is wrong because it means you literally cannot play certain things with other things. So we will come
Yeah.
back to that.
I need to have a double check on
Yeah.
that.
Okay. Oh, so for example, Tyrannid Swarm is the only fire team that has Recon archetype, and you can only take one of them. Therefore, logically,
Yeah.
well, there you go. I mean, I think that answers it pretty concisely. Because otherwise you could literally never take Tyrannid Swarm. Oh,
Yeah, I'd
yeah.
buy that.
People looking through books. That's what it's all about. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Yes, that is weird. You could still validly take them, but only if you take Seek and Destroy. Or Security, you could never take Recon. So, no, sorry. Potentially. Well, careful what you say now. Because this is clearly a trick question that I'm trying to get future advice for. The fact that Recon is included there doesn't necessarily mean you can never take it. It could mean there is an expansion coming out for Tyranids where there is another team that would use Recon. It means that in this compendium, you cannot select the Recon, but perhaps in the future, Lictors come out or something like that. Just to continue to muddy the waters to make sure that nobody knows what game we're playing. There you go. Unless you want to give an answer there?
No, I'm not going to talk on that.
That's fair. Yeah.
So if you go to matched play mission sequence 8, select TAC Ops, it says if the kill team has more than one archetype, the player must select one of their archetypes to use.
Yeah.
So that to me just says that you select one.
Like, okay. Just any. Okay. So it doesn't have to be one
so
they can both select.
Yeah. So
okay.
that's right. Yeah. So
that's fine.
If you, so yeah. Potentially, yeah. So potentially you got 3. If you've got 2 fire teams, they've got the same different. It's going to be 3 that you're going to get to choose from essentially.
Okay. Cool. Yep. That I could have seen it either. I could see it either way, honestly. So fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Right, back to the Thousand Suns. I don't know. I think they look really strong. I'm like everything has AP. I do feel like you would almost always be running the same team essentially. One fire team Zangors, one fire team Rubrics. Because why would you ever give up the sorcerer? That's not happening, right? And then why would you, I don't know, I feel I would struggle to take just 2 Rubrics where I could have 6 Zangors. Obviously they're very different models, but just at that weight of numbers. We'll see how it goes.
I think it depends what matchup you're going against, really, doesn't it? Like where in some situations having more AP1 shots can make a difference. But again, if you want the bodies, that's your decision to make. But generally, what I found in these fire teams where we've got one really strong and bodies, strong bodies is probably the way to go.
Mm. Neo Thunder 240, we already covered that. Yes, you add one model to the kill team when it sets that. Yeah. He was asking about an additional leader, essentially. Yeah.
Add anything else.
Yeah. Cool. Now, I made this incredibly bold statement. So over to you to tell me I'm wrong here. I said that if you ever have a piece of equipment, like for the thousands, I said that's treasure trinket, add 1 CP to your pool for the battle. I guess you just take that, right? Is that even a question?
No, you're right. Yeah, you just
okay.
Add 1 to your pool.
All right,
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Because and then I was like, you know what? That seems like something I can just say. If there's ever something that allows you to add a CP as equipment, you just take it. And this is the only one. There are other ones that are like for Harlequins, if this model dies, gain a CP. But this is just straight, you get a CP. So I was like, yeah, you take that. Yeah, I'm sure. Oh, random question as we're talking about CP. For the strategic ploys, can you play multiple in the same turn?
Multiple strategic ploys. Like
Yeah, so
Yes. Yeah, so in the strategy phase, you keep going back and forth. So
okay.
In theory, you could burn all your CPs at that point in the strategy phase.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, and that's where things like the guard, where they've got the orders, is nice because you can kind of use up a free, like, see what your opponent's going to do, because you just go, my order's this, without having actually to burn up the CP at that point.
All right, cool. Yeah, I had assumed that's how it was, but Chaos Demons. Any thoughts? Anything that jumps out to you to them?
For me, it's the Bloodletter Blades.
Okay.
They're nuts. Yeah. So it's 4/6 lethal 5+.
Yeah,
that's
hitting on
that's
threes.
pretty good, really, isn't it? Like, yeah, they are okay. So they've got a 5+ invuln or a 6+ save. Like, so if they're going to get hit, they're going to die. But again, if you use movement well and cover well, then these guys are pretty baller. Yeah. They were my go-to ones. I really enjoyed those.
Okay. I guess the thing that I noticed for them the most is because obviously I'm used to them in Old Kill Team, is that actually I think the Plague Bearers are way more valid in this version than they were in the Old Kill Team. Because in the Old Kill Team, you would take one as a leader, and that's it. Because you had Disgusting Resilient, and he was the most likely to live. Everybody else was either a Horror or a Bloodletter. But I think that I mean, they basically have an identical weapon to the Bloodletters, but they don't have lethal 5+. So they're just way more viable in this game than the previous one. I'm not saying they're better, but they're there.
Yeah. The reason why I'd probably go with I think they're good for being back on objectives and stuff. Sure. It's just that they don't have the movement of the because they've only got 2 white.
Oh, sorry, the 2 movement. Yeah,
3 white.
Yeah, you're right. That is big deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you rate the pink horrors at all?
I don't remember what they do actually. Oh, because there's the stratagem as well, and you can use to bring back blue horrors and brimstone horrors and stuff as well, can't you? It's interesting. It's not my playstyle. For me, my big take on these was just I liked the Bloodletters, just for the speed and the output that those guys can go. It's really good.
Okay, and now we get to another team that I actually care about, Craft World Kill Team.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts here? I mean, we did speak about them very briefly earlier about the coolness of some. But yeah, any thoughts?
Yeah, I think they're really good. On the whole, that the ability to move, shoot, move, it's just, if you get the right bit of cover, it's really good. But you've got terrain's got to be good for those guys to really get the benefit of that.
Right. So would you
defenders
almost say
versus?
I was going to say, would you almost say that you're basically playing Fleet, a strategic ploy for 1 CP every turn, practically?
Yeah, quite often actually.
Okay.
I think it's very much similar to like the Space Marines where they get to shoot twice or fight twice. The
Right.
fleet thing is pretty much almost go to each turn for most situations.
Okay.
I think it becomes less of a thing later on, like turns 3 and 4, because you kind of have less things that are taking effect for it. But definitely in the early 2 turns, that can be a big deal.
Right.
I think for me with these guys though is whether you go for. I think Rangers are just really good if you've got some good terrain to put them in. But then it's a decision then between doing the Guardians or going to the Dire Avengers. I think my default choice is the Dire Avengers.
Okay.
Because they're just got better guns. Okay. But if you're going against something you really want to knock down, then actually going to the Guardian heavy weapon platform, it's pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah, that Star Cannon you talked about earlier is really good.
Yeah. Gonna quickly ask a few chat questions, because I think they make sense. Somebody asking if you can mix demon teams. Yep. You can take 2 of them, just like every other faction apart from Marines. So that's fine. You can take 2. Quick question about strafing run. Now, obviously, you like Krieg, so you hopefully just know this off the top of your head. Can strafing run target a model that is in cover and has a concealed token as the primary target?
So I've been playing as no.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Because it's done from the point, isn't it? If I remember rightly, it's done from you pick a model and then you pick a point on the table, and it is possible that model from that point is not visible, and not a valid target.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. That's how it is. Possibly one for the FAQ, but until then, we've got that answer. So there you go. We're about to get to Harlequin, so we'll talk about that in a moment. And kind of an interesting one here. Have you tried the rules on the old UCC type maps, the Arena, the Pariah Nexus, etc.? And do you have any thoughts on that?
I personally haven't had a go at those.
Okay. Fair enough.
But I was actually thinking the other day it'd be quite interesting to give this go on the Pariah Nexus. I've got that train actually. I'd like to just give it a go and see how it works on there.
I can see it making sense. I mean, you could argue, oh well, there are no vantage points, but you can quite easily just dictate an area and say that's a vantage point. I assume, like, if you really wanted to include them, like, you don't need to actually move it up. It could almost be like a barricade if you want to get onto this area, -2 move, suddenly you're in a vantage point. Just sorry, that seems easy enough to do. Oh, also, was it ever tested as a multiplayer game? Did you ever try 3 or 4 players?
I can't talk about that one.
Well, there you go.
It's just,
Rangers. Thoughts on Rangers? When I first looked at this team, I thought, okay, yep, so I'm always going to take Rangers and Dire Avengers. But then I don't see the point in Storm Guardians, I'm going to be honest. That's obviously, because of the fusion gun. Duh. Sorry, I just remembered they take the fusion gun. Yeah. Okay, I remember.
I don't think it's ever not. I think there could be some situations when they're good, like if you are particularly good at doing the combat stuff, you've got good terrain that you go up and then chop people up. That might be good, but I think most of the time they're probably my least pick of the lot.
Right. Somebody adds an addition there. As I read it, strafing run needs line of sight to target a model. The part that really threw us was the interaction with vantage points being the source of the target. Or is that going to take you 5 minutes to figure out?
No, because it's about visibility, and visibility is whether you can actually physically see the model, isn't it?
Oh, okay.
So it's not whether you can draw a line of sight to it, it's visible, if I remember the wording correctly. So visible is just looking from the model's eye view and whether you can physically see another part of the other model.
Okay, cool. So just the visibility part, not line of sight and selecting valid
Yep.
targets. Okay. I'm sure we're going to get to this. And do you think Defense 4 on the Tower Recon drone is intentional or a typo? As we
Can't
both
remember.
scramble through our books. Like,
It's on there,
really?
is it?
It is Defense 4.
It does make
Yeah.
it very tough. Okay.
Okay. Well, yeah, I guess
Let's-
until we get an FAQ or you tell us no way. That seems like a typo just
Yeah.
because literally nothing else has it, but who knows? I guess.
It makes it very tough, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not one.
All right. Well, that's definitely one
Yeah,
for the
it's what
errata
it is unless it gets errated.
Okay, cool. Okay. Dire Avenger Exarch, do you have a preferred loadout on that? Because in the old kill team, it was unquestionable. You would always take Twin Avenger Shuriken catapults. Am I going to have to build a new one with a different loadout? That's my real question here.
So I think it's still the go-to for me.
Really?
But again, situationally, yeah. I think situationally though, I think the power weapon is the way to go. Or the dire sword.
Now,
the reason why I say that is because.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to say something?
Oh no, I was just going to say. So that means mostly you're going to be taking a team with 0 CC fight ability, like combat. Is that normal to take a no close combat team?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It depends upon how you're going with it. Really, yeah. I don't really rate the guard guys as being close combat. I know they've got the bruiser guy and they've got the sergeant, and this is kind of where I was going to go to with having this power weapon. That actually having the Exarch in the background there with a power weapon or a dire sword is quite nice, because when you do inevitably come up and you get charged, then actually that guy springing out and doing work on something is actually really good.
Okay. The new Death Watch leader can't take a power weapon and a shooting weapon. Is that? Oh, also Brimstone Horror is a defense too, which is possibly also. I mean, that sounds possibly correct because they're so weak.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, I can see that. That
Yeah.
sounds fine, but the recon drone with 4 sounds like a typo. I don't know. Weird that. Yeah.
It's about the sergeant.
I thought he could, but fair enough. What do I know? What else was? Yeah, defense 4. That I'm so sure that's a mistake, but what can we do? I think.
Yes, looking at the sergeant, you can take one of the options: chainsaw, lightning, power, fist, power, more power, weapon, thunderhammer, or Xenophade blaze, bolt pistol, grav pistol, hand flamer, inferno pistol, plasma pistol, storm shield.
Okay. And then presumably, in the other hand, you can have a ranged weapon, right?
Oh, so yeah, that was the 2 options that you could take. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you can. Is that
So
what you
it's
said?
so one option from each of the following. So it's got 2 lines of things. So the first line of thing is essentially close combat weapon. The second line of things is pistols, essentially.
Yeah, there you
Or
go.
a storm
Power
shield.
weapon or every. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
You were just wrong. Whoever said that. There you go. Right. Now we are on to. Oh, sorry. Somebody asked about the Necrons. I'd already touched on this, but we are about to get to them. That needs to be errated, I believe. Necron warriors, as it it doesn't have the little dot that says you can take this or this. They're 2 guns.
Okay.
Yeah, which, I mean, that can't be right. So, I think that raw you have both, because they don't give you that dot, much like with rangers for the craft world. There is no dot to say this is your loadout. Therefore, you have both guns. You have the Shuriken pistol and the Ranger long rifle, I'm going to guess.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to choose between those.
I think.
But...
No, I think that's right, isn't it? Because that's what they have.
Yeah. But obviously for the Necron warriors, there needs to be an errata on that one. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, he says you can't have a ranged weapon other than a pistol. For the Deathwatch veteran there. That sounds possible, I suppose. Is that? I mean, that might be true. Compendium and Xeno, that's not legal. You know what? I'm not going to spend too long looking at this. If you say that's true, then I'll believe it. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. There you go. Cool. Yeah. Well, you were wrong, Pika, because your original question was asking about a shooting weapon, not specifically a pistol. But yeah. Anyway, uh, Drukhari. Do you have any thoughts on Drukhari? On the sheer domination that is going to be 2 blasters and a dark lance, which looks terrifying.
2 blasters and a dark lance. What's your question?
No, well,
Yeah,
no,
they're
indeed.
just
Yeah.
yeah. Like,
Look really good.
Yeah, I think those ones kind of speak for themselves, really, isn't it? It's just
Yeah,
they're
there
really
is
good
no
weapons.
question on Drukhari. They look strong. They also
Yeah.
have fleet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really good team,
Yeah.
I would assume. And like they're not doing
Yep.
anything crazy. They're just they got some good guns. Everything has lethal 5 up, etc., etc. Yeah.
Yep.
I don't really have a
Yeah.
question for them.
No, they're a really solid team. I quite enjoy playing with them as well, and the firepower on those weapons is really good. Splinter cannon can be useful to take if you're going against mass horde type thing, because the fusillade thing allows you to spray across a few there. But yeah, I think the dark lance was generally my go-to option, really.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. People kind of taking slight guesses here about if there's an option in 40k or from the kit that you can't take in the compendium, it's probably a typo. I would be hesitant to say that. I feel like you might be right, but I also feel like it might be a small enough miss that they might not change it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or it could be a balancing thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I would take it as is. I think there'd probably be, like, there's always fairly regular updates and FAQs and erratas for things as well. So I'm sure with no change to Kill Team, we'll get something out soon. So when it releases.
Okay. Yeah. Somebody there talking about again, Deathwatch Gunners. Oh no, a pop-up's just covered it. There you go. Deathwatch Gunners have access to either a plasma gun or a combi plas. They can't see any reason to ever take the one-use combi plasma. Yeah, probably, I guess. Yeah, I assume so. Yeah. I think we already said it, but like I feel that the game is balanced because it's balanced around a block. It is balanced around taking the optimum thing from the roster. So in theory, you're never going into a bad matchup. You always have the gun you want, and that's how the game is balanced. If you choose to make bad picks, you're probably going to struggle, but the game's designed so that you never have to take a bad pick. Is how I'm picturing it at the moment.
Yeah, that sounds about right, really, doesn't it? Like,
okay.
You can make bad picks, and that will affect your game. So that's part of the roster system.
Awesome, cool. Right, and so now we are over to the Harlequins, which of course you have said you think are strong.
Yep.
Okay, so obviously we know 3 APL.
But I also think they've got a
yeah.
So I also think they've got a high skill set on them as well. So you need to understand how cover, etc., works, and because if you leave, as you found in your game, if you leave them open, they do get killed pretty quickly.
Yeah, they do. I would also say I found a lot of so I was running my team loaded out as they were for the old kill team. So most of them had kisses because in the old edition, kisses were the only thing with multi-damage. They were damage D3, which of course we were taking so that you could get around the injury roll, essentially. In this, maybe I just didn't roll enough crits, because that is really good crit damage, obviously, a 7, but then the normal damage is a 3,
7,
which into Marines was just nothing, essentially. Yeah, so I feel like the Embrace with the 4/5 brutal is probably actually much better. But there you go.
But again, no, I think it's whatever your matchup is, really, isn't it? But I think
Sure.
generally speaking, I think the embrace there is the one to go for.
I mean, just because the brutal USR is really good, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, and then I'll call it out because I didn't use this turn 1, and my opponent moved on to vantage points, moved 4 of his 5 models onto vantage points, and so just could shoot me completely. Use
domino field.
Use domino field.
Yeah.
Really good. Yes.
It should almost have written under it.
Use turn 1.
Must use on turn 1.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just start the Harlequins with only 2 CP. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, just a point there as well. Actually, the going back to the gunner, the neuropistols, pretty good for the stun.
Yes.
So if you're going into something, and you want it to stay there, if you stun it, it reduces APL by 1. So it means they can't fall back.
Okay.
So if you want to, sometimes I will slingshot a model into enemy operatives that's already activated, but then choose not to fight.
Okay.
And then if you'd have shot it with a stun weapon beforehand, then you're reducing its APL by 1.
Okay. And then
So
it doesn't
can't then fall back.
regain its APL until after its next activation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm still
So
personally.
it then.
Mhm.
Sorry, you said.
I was going to start talking about the stun USR. So whatever you were saying. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, it's really good then. So next turn then that Harlequin is stop that guy from falling back.
Yeah.
The Harlequin then can either leave combat or punch it in the face, kill it, and then go charge and do the same sort of trick to someone else.
Okay. You can fall back and shoot, right?
Yeah.
You know what? There's another rules question there. Fly. Do you know how fly interacts with fallback? Is there, because a lot of people seem to think you can just move out of combat. You don't need, because it's worded like you ignore engagement range or something like that. I don't know.
No, I think there's been a read across there for all 40k, isn't there? People assume because previously fly, if you had a fly keyword, you could when you fell back, it didn't affect you. But as I read it, that's not a thing.
Okay, cool. Which takes us to the greenskins. We're getting close to the end. This wasn't meant to be a 4-hour stream. Greenskins, do you have much to say about them, or is it just play commandos?
Play commandos. I think they're cooler models, aren't they? Got cooler rules.
I feel so sorry for people that don't like the commando team, but yeah, I would honestly just play commandos. Like, as someone that has enough to run a greenskin team, I don't know why I would. Okay, beginner statement here, but they seem worse. And in my opinion, they are probably worse models than the, brand new commando models. So,
yeah.
That
and you
sucks,
could play them as counts as, I guess. It's like,
sure.
I run my, I've made my Praetorians, but they're actually made out of, I call the, what the models now? They're not the guard models, they're the other guys, the special forces guys.
The Scions.
Scions, yeah. So I've used Scions, but I use them as veteran guard because they just
Sure. Yeah.
They just look cool and it works.
Somebody asked
play commandos.
Anything preventing your model from being charged after falling back? Nope, I don't think so.
Nope.
Yep. I assume that was kind of an artifact of the phases system, but we don't have phases now. We have activations, so I don't think you need it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which brings us to the Necrons, which we're going to have some so we already covered that the Necron warriors almost certainly, like 99% needing a Rasa. I guess a bit of an odd one here. Is there a reason they are max 1 Necron warrior fire team per kill team? Just out of curiosity, really.
There probably is a reason. I don't know it offhand.
Yeah. Fair enough. So if I were to run Immortals, I first thought I'd be taking the Death Marks and Flayed ones. But you know what?
Okay.
That Gorse Blaster with just natural AP1. Now that I know more, I think that's my pick. Yep,
Yeah.
AP1. Just on a normal shot. I'll take it. I can't see myself going for the trade-off of the Death Marks, which still has AP1, but in addition has heavy, but you get a mortal wound
Yeah.
on the crit. I really do just feel that AP1 without heavy is probably what I'd be leaning into.
But they're hitting on twos though. Death
Hitting on
marks are
twos is
hitting on
nice.
twos rather
That
than
is
threes.
true. That is true.
Um, but you are getting damage 4/5. Yeah,
Oh,
that's, it's a close one, isn't it? I'm sure.
yeah.
Although actually, you're getting a mortal wound on that one, so also it kind of
Yeah.
works out the same. I'm sure somebody could do the maths on it, but yeah, I think it's quite close on that one. I think just
Somebody
my
else
gut
did
feeling.
actually also point out that heavy on a Necron, because you're naturally only 2 move, isn't as bad because you're not hard, because you can still dash with a heavy, and so you're
Yeah,
only actually losing 1 inch instead of 3,
yeah, that's
which
right.
actually is a
Yeah,
very valid point. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, and then so additional question, which I'm sure is just going to go straight to the FAQ. If we look at the Deathmark leader has balanced on his gun, whereas the Deathmark warriors don't. Any idea if that's intentional? Or...
Uh, well, I was just looking at the rest of the things. The other leaders have some sort of boost or benefit, don't they? Well, you can't
Sure.
really boost his BS2, so I imagine that balance looks like it's just
Oh,
it's meant to be
right.
there just to improve him a little bit.
That kind of, yeah, okay. Because you're right, you can't go
Yeah,
higher than BS2. All right, I can see that. I can
yeah.
see
So
that.
he's got an extra wound and he's a little bit better at shooting.
Okay. Oh, what does balance do? You can reroll one of your dice, is it? I
Reroll
can't
one the
remember.
dice, remember?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's why I have my little crib sheet because I can never remember.
Ah, okay. The Hunter card raise. Oh, man. I feel like there's so much here. This is such... Okay. I don't want, I feel like this is such a fleshed out team. Like, I think who... I think Tau have a lot to work with, just right off the bat. There's so much here.
Yeah,
Arguably a lot more than other teams, just from the sheer data sheets, because obviously you have all of those drones, and you have to decide which drone are you
yeah.
taking. I think if you're a Tau player, why do you play 40k? Just play Kill Team. Because I think you're going to be really strong, and yeah. Do you have any real thoughts on the Tau? I know that you like the Tau.
Yeah, I really like the town. I think town, like you said, they actually fit really well into this because they're for this they have lots of toys, don't they? And it's kind of it works well that these toys you can take these toys and actually use them. So the kits themselves have each kit comes with all the different drones. It comes with like that defense turret thing that you can use and stuff as well. So there's just a lot of flexibility just built into every single kit there. So I'm not sure you've seen the theme here is essentially anything that you can get within the kit you can use within the
Yeah.
game, and those guys just come with so many little toys just naturally built in that they work really really well. And that's really what I've enjoyed with these guys. I've always found Tau and 40k really obnoxious.
Right.
I find them really quite tactical and
Oh,
entertaining in this
okay.
game because they have toys that you can use and manipulate.
Sure, if you're playing Tau, I'm sure they're very... Yeah. I don't know how I feel going against them. They're terrifying. But yeah. Okay.
Yeah, those stealth suits are pretty cool, aren't they?
Yeah, they look really good.
The stealth suits are really cool.
Really good. And I think they'll also be quite beginner friendly. If you just take 6
Yeah,
stealth suits. There you go. Like,
yeah,
that's a really good team. You don't need to think too much. They all have fly, so I think that's a real... If people aren't into the marine theme, 6 stealth suits
yeah,
is probably a really good secondary choice. I would argue.
yeah.
Yeah,
And I think 6 models for me is like the optimum point as well. I think
sure.
it's a good balance there. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Da, da, da. I don't think there's anything else we really need to talk about with them. Is there anything else you want to say about Tau? Because there's so much I don't even
No,
know
they're
where
just
to
really
go.
cool.
Okay.
Yeah, you could almost do a whole show on these guys, really. But I think,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, maybe we should do that at some point because there's so many cool things in here, the drones and stuff. I think the big takeaway is that spamming drones is not a thing anymore. So um, each drone, hopefully, you can see has its own thing that does and the benefit that it brings to the team. Again, that comes really into it rewards a player that knows their team intimately and when to use different drones in different
Yes. Yeah.
situations.
Yeah. Definitely. Which I think is really good, and I hope becomes perhaps more of a thing as expansions or whatever release. But right now, I would say there are some teams where I, I feel I don't think there might be too much of that. But Tau is definitely one where it's like I can see that I don't know enough to know what the optimum teams are in certain situations. But once somebody knows them, like yeah, there's going to
Yeah.
be some really good what's the word, faction focuses on Tau, I think.
Yeah, and that's the thing I found with this game actually is like the different levels of learning that you get to, and I think almost the pinnacle really is that ability to pick the right team at the right time for the train the player against. Yeah, that's early days. I think you just pick what you kind of like and then play with that, and then later on you really learn to manipulate your team.
Which takes us to one of these bizarre teams. It's the cadre mercenary kill teams. So maybe it's
Who didn't
just
want to run a crew mill kill team?
well, no, I have run a crew kill team. I came second in a little family tournament, home tournament with them. But they are so they're the much maligned Kroot because in the previous edition they were just a White Dwarf faction. All of their tactics sucked. They had no sub factions. They had three data sheets, right? And there
Yep.
was basically one way to build them. Now they have, considering the models that are available to the Kroot faction at all, they're just as fleshed out as anything else, essentially. I mean, okay, they've only got
Yep.
5 pieces of equipment, whereas most have at least 6, if not 7.
Yep.
But like, hey, I think the Kroot lovers are pretty happy. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
Uh, I would also say
Do you
so
want to cover?
as. Hmm?
Do you want to cover the FAQ on the Creep Warrior as well? Because that 4, the plus should be right next to it.
Oh yes, I did see that. Yeah, yeah. I think
Yeah.
everybody's seen that. It's
Yeah.
I don't.
So
I'm
we
not sure
got
if that's gonna make it
carried
to
away
an
with the tab there,
errata,
Bob.
but yeah. You know what? That's just somebody typing it and they hit tab and didn't notice it. It's like, oh, okay, done.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Yeah. I think.
No, I
Yeah.
quite like this team.
Yeah.
Sorry, to
No,
interrupt you
I
twice. Go
was
for it.
no. Please, I have nothing to say. Yeah.
No, I was just saying, I think they're a cool team. I like the idea of them. The fact that they get benefits when they're close to cover as well. So
Yes.
to their armor save, I think that's quite.
Yeah.
So you go from a 6 up to a 4 up. I think that's very fitting. And you can imagine these guys jumping from cover to cover and
Yeah.
taking up shooting positions.
Super
Yeah.
cool. I don't. I'm
3-4 damage the blades as well, which is not bad. So they generally all round okay, I think, in terms of it's not bad. It's not great.
Yeah, I mean the Kroot rifle's fine, but you have loads of them, so
Yeah.
yeah. I suppose
Fieldcraft is a really good one as well. Ability to change the operative's order is really
so I've looked at this and I was thinking that looks a bit crap because so it costs an AP.
yeah.
So most teams have some way to change an order, right?
Yeah.
Not like this, where obviously every crew carnival can do it, and therefore it costs you an AP as well as a CP. Most have like you give them a piece of equipment, or you can change one model. So obviously it's a different thing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like I guess you can have like turn 2 because you're all. Would that work? No, I don't know what I'm saying. But you can have the turn where you use this, and suddenly everybody shoots, whereas before they were not able to shoot. I don't know. That doesn't make sense, does it?
Yeah, so yeah, from turn 1 you can't change the order.
No, sorry, I was saying
but
the
this
wrong way
is
around. Yeah, so turn 2,
yeah,
you activate, shoot, fieldcraft to go and get concealed again, right?
yeah,
There you go. I was thinking of it the wrong way around. Yeah. So when
yeah,
you activate, you turn them to engaged after being
yeah,
concealed turn 1, fire for 1
yeah,
AP, fieldcraft to make
yeah,
them concealed again. So you get a really
yeah,
lethal turn 2 actually, I guess.
yeah. It's almost like having silent on your weapons.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, and you're essentially
Yeah,
making a 2 AP shoot frag almost. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah. No, I like it. And then
yeah,
obviously the crew tox, really really good model. Especially if you can get
yeah,
him into melee there. Yeah.
yeah. It's a beast,
Yeah, it's
especially
really
a brutal
yeah.
5 attacks. That's pretty good.
Yes. Yeah. Cool. Yep. I don't know enough about their equipment to talk about that. We're almost there. 2 left, and then we're done. High fleet kill
Do we have any
team.
viewers still left there? Is the chat gone really quiet? We've got like
Yeah,
one person watching.
just my mum in there left.
That's my mum as well too.
Oh, good. Our mums plus 271 other people. Yeah, they're friends.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Yes, hello chat. We are still here. You're still there. Yeah. Oh, yes,
I'm
I
having a
wanted to
bald and
quickly
beard off.
touch on yeah, on what somebody else was saying there. I mean, we don't really know how the Compendium factions are going to expand yet, but obviously, technically, that's it for the Kroot kill team because there are no more Kroot. But if they get anything else, it has to be Vespid. So just hoping there's a Vespid fire team. But then the question becomes, I don't know why I'm theory crafting this so much. You can already take, like, you can Kroot are one of the 2 factions where you can take 1 fire team, right? And they're already complete. So to add a second fire team, you'd almost have to completely redo the Kroot faction and like half their existing fire team. Who knows how they're going to do that? Anyway, there you go. Right. People are still saying that you need to eat your food, by the way. I'm getting a lot of yeah. I didn't
It's good.
realize.
I'm just good. It's fine.
Okay.
It's all good.
All right. Tyranids. So I think Tyranids. I'm actually genuinely curious for your take on my thoughts on them, because obviously I'm just kind
Okay.
of talking bollocks and hoping that I'm right. So how are they as just a 6 Tyranid warrior team? Or is that
Yeah, I
actually
think they're
like, no,
pretty.
it's not as good because you don't have the models, or anything like that?
It does go down to that, and I think it depends upon what mission you're playing.
Okay.
Like some of the missions that once you've taken the objective, it stays yours until the enemy have taken it back. In those ones, these sort of things are good, and custodians are good because you take it, you just push up the field, and then they really have to try hard then to get through you to take your objectives back.
Right.
So I think, yeah, in those sort of situations, they're good. In ones where you need to stay on objectives, again, that's where that balance comes up of, like, as soon as you start losing one, then you're having to keep them all on the objectives in order to win the mission, essentially.
Okay.
So in those sort of situations, I would then go for a mixture of them and bodies.
But by that logic, is it not the same as Marines? Like, because you're talking pure number of bodies there, or is there something about the Tyranid warriors that makes them more susceptible to the low body count, or?
No, it's just they've got an option, haven't they? Well, the Marines
Oh, okay.
don't have that option to take meat
All right.
shields. Like if Marines, like for the example, in the Chaos Marines, they have the option to take meat shields, which is essentially the cultists, isn't it? So these guys have a similar sort of thing. Just the Marines don't have those really.
So you're generally of the opinion that if there is the ability to take some big heavy hitters and some small guys, you're generally always going to be better off doing that than just taking more heavy hitters, like as generic advice.
Yeah, it's generic advice. Yeah, if it's an objective based game, which most of them are, having a mixture of the two works out really well because then you can just leave the minions to sit on things and have the heavy hitters doing what they need to do. Anytime that you're having one of the big hitters have to sit on the objective, like you're wasting their APLs. Like back to the Custodes, they've got 4 APL, but you can only shoot twice or fight twice. And if nobody's coming to you and they're set on objectives, then you may as well just have 2 APL at that point.
Right. Sure. Okay. Fair. Yep. Why is Synapse worded so weirdly? Why doesn't it just say when you're within 6, you don't suffer the penalties of injury, of being injured? Why does it like very clearly point out both of the effects of being injured and say you don't suffer that? Bit of a random
it's been a while since I've read that one, so
okay, fair enough.
there probably is. So the guy writes it. There probably is some logic in there for it, and a lot of it's to un-FAQ it later, so it's unambiguous. But I think until you get into the understanding of how the verbology works in this, it can seem a little bit unusual.
Somebody points out in chat there, well, a few things. Yes, we already talked about the Eldari, but obviously, just because we're live now doesn't mean you can't watch it back later. And Draco Dominus there points out another issue with the Warriors being 6, whereas the Marines are 5, is APL. I assume that that's an issue because the Warriors are only 2 APL compared to the Marines.
Yeah, so they've got, what was it, 18, 19 wins, 2 APL, 4 plus armor. So yeah, it's the balance between the two, isn't it?
Right. Thoughts on Gene Stealers?
I think they're generally pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found them pretty good during playtesting. The fact they get to perform a free dash action as well is pretty good.
Yeah.
They're fast.
And those double
So
rendering
they're again, they're really good. Like say turn 1, you push those guys up there. Turn 2, they're striking pretty easily.
Yeah, they look really good. Although you know, rolling those 5-ups for saves, they are going to die quickly. Yeah, but I really like them for the hidden horror as well.
Yeah, that makes a difference again. It plays into the theme, isn't it? Sort of going from cover to cover, scuttling around, and then doing their lightning assault after.
Yes, yeah, I think I mean, okay, I'm obviously saying all this because in my last 2 games, the guy was on, playing with the Octarius terrain, so you've got 4 nice chunky bits of vantage point. Yeah. I got shot a lot from vantage points. So now anything I see that says ignore vantage point, oh yeah, that's OP. I'm gonna take that.
Yeah. And that goes back to setting up your board as well to make sure you have something that blocks all the vantage points at some points as well. So it's not a turkey shoot.
Right. Yeah, I can't remember if we did, but I'm sure we did. But yeah. And then you get the swarm. I don't know if there's much to say about the swarm really. I really feel like they are just there to run out, grab objectives, but otherwise they're just going to die as soon as they're looked at, and they're not going to hurt anything really.
Yeah, there is a bit of choice there to make between the weapons. But to be honest, I generally see them as meat shields really. Group activation 2 though, which is pretty good. Again, go back to that objective things, when those ones where you have to activate something and then take the objective. Group activation 2 is really useful for that.
Oh, okay. Cool. All right. Sounds fair. Oh, final team. Brood Coven Kill Team. Okay. What have we got? So we've got oh, that's Gene Stealer Cults. Somebody had just said, oh, it's the Brood Coven Kill Team. I don't know what that is. So Neophytes, Acolytes, and Metamorphs. Any thoughts across this team?
I think this is another one like the Tau that benefit from their kit in that they have lots of different tools and toys that they can play with.
Right.
I think with these guys, they don't have massive heavy hitters. They're very much like the Guard, where you've got lots of guys there, and you've got a few key gunners that can to do the firepower thing really. That said, though, I quite like them, and I've recently painted a kill team with these guys. It's gonna be what I want to play in the future.
Yeah.
They're really cool. Like,
Uh,
so you can say.
Sorry, I was just going to go back quickly. Somebody's asking in chat about clarification on a free dash. We already talked about a free action doesn't mean it can be done multiple times. It means it doesn't cost you any APL. But he does ask, well, what's the point? Because you can't dash and charge. So how do you employ that free dash? Like, you can move and dash, but then you have an APL left over.
Yeah, so it means that you can then like perform some sort of action on the way there as well. Like those guys
Okay.
can't shoot, but they could potentially like perform a mission action of some sort and then
Right.
still dash.
So you're still really fast, and then you can still activate something or whatever. Okay, that does make a lot of sense. Yeah. And somebody was asking, as we're there now, on the Gene Stealer cults, why aren't aberrants and pure strain Gene Stealers part of the Gene Stealer cults?
I don't know. The choice is made to put these in. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
The rationale behind what was chosen.
Fair enough. Because obviously, the reason for that question is they were in the core Kill Team book last edition. And obviously, so far we've generally had everything is relatively similar. Core there is kind of Compendium here, but Tyrann has lost Lictors, and these guys have lost Aberrants and access to Gene Stealer pure strains.
Yeah.
So. Okay, I guess my big thing here is neophytes. I'd always wanted to be able to run them as a bit of a range team because they have some cool thematic guns, but you would always be at -1 BS. So you're hitting on 5s, I think it was, and if they're in cover 6s, so you could literally never use them because it was one shot. Now I mean this heavy gunner, you can only take one, I think. So I think stops the spam.
Yeah.
But like it looks like a really good model. I definitely want one of them in my team.
Yeah, and I think the nice thing about it, there is actually a choice there to make as well.
Yes. Yes.
When
looking at these aren't
like
they're not automatic picks. It's not like, oh well, I obviously want the mining laser with the seismic cannon.
Yeah, and there's definitely, depending what team you're going up against, then you'll choose different things, right? But that mining laser with 5 attacks and AP1 is pretty good.
Yeah, and same for the gunners, actually. We didn't really touch on this when it came to the Imperial Guard, but same for the gunners here. Suddenly, I'm not 100% like, well, for example, the grenade launcher sucked. Like, nobody took it in the last edition of Kill Team. It was, without doubt, the worst weapon that most of these guards could actually take. So, now, I don't know, I'm seeing that crack grenade. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's a weapon. That's a weapon.
So the grenade launcher is my go-to. Like after plasma, grenade launcher is my go-to because the flexibility of it, that 4/5 damage AP1. Yeah.
And then
and that blast as well if you catch people in the right situation.
Yes. Yeah. Definitely. And the Weber in the last game didn't exist, I think. So it's a step up that it exists now.
And again, situationally, that Weber is handy for that dropping people's APLs can make a big difference.
Right, the stun. Yeah, I think. Do I have anything? No, I don't. Stun did take place in one of my games, and it didn't have an effect really. So there you go. There you go. That's all I can say so far. It looks good on paper. Like, obviously, a debuff to the enemy's APL. Obviously, that's good. But I haven't encountered a scenario yet where it's like, oh yeah, that changed the outcome of the game. Yeah. But I assume that's going to come up.
Yeah, and it's a situational one. It's mainly when you want to prevent the enemy doing something later on. So maybe it's like activating and picking something up, or knowing that they need to pick up and then move again. Actually, just being able to put a proper stun there, even though you're not going to be able to kill it, can make a difference.
For sure. Oh my gosh, 3 hours. We're almost there. Right. Now when it comes to these next two, the acolytes and the Metamorphs, I haven't really gone over them myself yet. I was looking at them earlier in the day because I was getting out. I'm still in the process of getting out my old kill teams and seeing what's going on here. Oh, sorry, I'll ask. I keep ignoring it because I know you can't say anything, but for Sisters of Battle, are there any plans to include a cherub in the future?
Uh, I can't talk about it.
Exactly.
Sorry.
Exactly. Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's I could it can either confirm or deny.
yeah.
That's fine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Very quickly through chat before we go back to
I've
that.
done resistance. I've done resistance to interrogation training. I'm
Oh
fine
yeah.
all
So
over this. Got it.
you're safe. You're safe. But have you done bribery training? Oh. Oh, we
There we
found his
go.
weakness. Hello, Kilting Granada. Hello, Joran. You're all getting in. Guys, it's been 3 hours. Where have you been? We're done. Battle Brothers Tabletop. Hello.
I think
Yeah.
I was tired about 2.5 hours ago. It's good.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. And thank you, Sean Smith, for the £5. Hour behind. He's an hour behind. He doesn't even know what's being said now. But hello to you, and thank you when you get to hear an hour later. Question: as a playtester, what are you most looking forward to? This is clearly just trying to get you to say stuff. What are you most looking forward to seeing now the game's getting out there? Anything you're not sure how it's going to work out until the whole community is playing the game?
I'm just really looking forward to seeing people's real reactions, because I know when I read the rules and saw the rules and tried to like theory hammer it, it was very different to actually when I got models on the table and played it and played a good few games. Went, oh, I get this. This is really cool. I'm just looking forward to seeing the positive reaction come out of the community and just watching it grow, really, because I I honestly believe that Kill Team's one of the most fun, engaging, and tactical games I've ever played with Games Workshop games. So that's what I'm really looking forward to.
Okay. This is just somebody else trying to get information. Is there any particular unit not in the compendium that you're looking forward to?
Am I looking forward to?
Oh,
I
all
can't
of
look
them.
forward to. I can
That's
tell you
an
which
easy
one. All of them.
There you
All
go.
of them. I die. For me, what I'd love to see would be warp spiders. They're just
Right.
my favourite models, just full stop. Yeah, but I'd like to see new ones
Okay,
in Kill Team, which would be great.
so I think you might have made a fatal error there, because for those that pay attention to all of the rumor engines, there was recently one about the Craft World Eldar Codex in 40k, about the Craft World Eldar 40k Codex, and the rumor is new warp spiders.
I'd be very happy with that.
So would I, and
I'd
the
be
reason
very
for that is because currently all of my aspect warriors are from RTLW, and they look stunning, but I'm terrified of buying an aspect warrior that then gets released in GW plastic. And Artel have just done their warp spiders who look amazing. But because that Craft World Eldar thing was just leaked, like last week, I think. I'm like, all right, I can wait. I can wait. Especially because they are
for a long time.
Mm.
So I was gonna say, for a long time, I've just wanted like plastic aspect warriors.
Yes.
But now I'm at the point, I've had my metal ones for so long, and they were painted quite nicely, and I spent a lot of time on them. There's part of me it doesn't, because I don't want to replace them, but I know I will have to replace them.
Sure. Hey, I know a lot of people feel that way. For example, it happened recently with Sisters of Battle. Like, some people had a full metal army, and they're like, oh, well, I've already got my army. I don't want the new GW plastics. I have never felt that. If you give me a new model to buy that is better than my old one, I'm going to buy it. Yeah.
Yeah. The week I finished my entire company of Dark Angels was the week that they dropped the Primaris Marines. And I was like,
oh.
I should be angry right now, but they look so good. I like them.
I should be angry, but I'm setting up a direct deposit into your bank account, GW. Stop me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, right. We're going to get back to questions in a moment. We'll wrap it up quickly. Is there anything you'd like to say about GC the Cults before we very briefly talk about the final thing at the end, which is Cult Ambush?
No, I think pretty much said there isn't. I think they're a low firepower one, but I think they're a higher skill ceiling army.
Okay. I would just like to
Yep.
quickly touch on Malev makes a good point. Oh, sorry. Thank you, Mortem Gaming for the $5. Malev makes a good point. RTLW does not make Eldar models. They make legally distinct, from an IP perspective, space elves, which are very different. Because
Space elves.
space elves, because if GW made space elves, that would imply they copied it from somewhere else, and they wouldn't do that, as we all know. So,
Yeah.
space elves. Moving on. Cult Ambush.
Temple Arachnids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um.
It's cool, isn't it?
So, for those that don't know, obviously, Cult Ambush was the defining trait of Gene Stealer Cults in the old Kill Team. It's a big part of their play style in 40k. Now it is a strategic ploy for 1 CP that can only be used in the first turn, and it's basically until the end of the turning point. Each time a friendly Brood Covenant operative is activated, you can change its order, because normally you can't change an order in the first turning point. Now, so I was thinking about this. And I was thinking, okay, so that means you put everybody concealed, obviously, and you then, once the enemy's moved, you flip your activation on one of your big guns. You hit them with it. But then I was thinking, but I can know this is an old Kill Team. I can only take one heavy gunner, right? And it's like, actually, so I don't know. So my initial thought is actually this isn't as powerful as I thought it might be, in the first place. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, you can take other gunners, can't you? If I remember rightly. You got the
Yeah. Yes.
yeah. You can only
You
take
can
one heavy, but you can take multiples of the other gunners. And I think
Yes,
that's where
that
it
is
comes
true.
into it. Is that
Okay.
yeah?
Okay, fair enough.
It's a subtle benefit in it. If you get the right vantage points and stuff, it can make a difference. Yeah, I find it quite useful at points, and it's just it also saves a bit of thinking time as well for during deployment, because a lot of time I'm not sure if you found that when you're setting up, you go, oh, do I want to put this guy on a conceal order? Want to put on a gauge order? The pros and cons. But this, you like everything goes conceal order, and I can figure that shit out later.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that's how it works in 40k too, isn't it? You just put down your blips,
Yep.
and then figure out where everything is
Yep.
when you need to. Yeah. Okay. Fair.
Yep. Yeah, because I'm not sure if you found it yet, but with the scouting step, there's the it's the infiltrate one where you can change the order in the first turn. I use that one quite a bit.
Yeah.
It's a really good one to use.
Yeah.
But these guys, they just get it.
Yeah. Yeah. A quick thank you to James Sawyers for the $10. Thanks from Oklahoma. Never been. That's my amazing commentary to the end of your question. I apologize. I'm a facts man. I'm here to talk facts, not say funny things, apparently.
I've passed through it very briefly.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry for your loss. And once more, someone points out 3 hours in, still hasn't touched food. I'm gonna get no end of grief.
I keep looking at. I think it's been sat there tempting me. It's fine.
Yeah. Right. Very
I'm carrying
quickly,
a few extra pounds
everybody.
right now. It's all good.
Very quickly, everybody. If you have final questions, throw them now, because we're obviously going to wrap up. This was meant to be like 2 hours max, and when we started, I wasn't sure if we were going to hit 2 hours. So I apologize. I did tell you before this. It'll be 1 to 2 hours. So really sorry. Is there anything else about the game you want to throw out there, or we've said a lot?
I think the main thing really is people just get out and give it a go. I know there's been lots of negativity yesterday about the compendium stuff, but actually, the compendium stuff is is pretty well balanced between all the Compendium stuff and against the other teams that are coming out, and it's a lot of fun. So I just implore people, just go give it a few games, get stuck into it, and if you then do have feedback, positive and negative, then feed it back through channels like you, and people do listen and do take note of what people say.
Yes, I think one thing that you've constantly said to me is that the lead designer is, from the sounds of it, very keen on fixing erratas and FAQs and making sure that the game is fully supported. And GW has, I know GW has actually given us a roadmap. I just want to hit home how much we wanted that last time. Like, that was such a big deal, and we just never got it. We never knew if the game was dead or if we were just waiting for the next expansion, and they never said a thing. But we actually have one now, so yeah, supported not just by the lead dev with rules, but also by the company. No company's good. Don't personify them, all right? But like, they have told us, yep, you're getting whatever the roadmap. I think it was at least 9 months was filled out. So yeah, and every 3 months we get something, but we don't know what.
It's really cool stuff too. Like, really cool. Like, you will not be sad.
The internet will test that statement, sir. Thank you very much, Draco Dominus, for the $5 there. We have a question. Sorry. Also, Brian S. and James Salyers both live in Oklahoma, so they should hook up, I guess. Somebody asked, how does one get into playtesting?
So I think different routes for different people. I was asked by a friend to get into playtesting. I started off in one system and for Forge World playtesting actually, and then sort of migrated to 40k and then on to Kill Team really. So it was just I was my friend's bitch to play against for his playtesting.
Okay, fair. To you two, I'm sure you're both in my Discord. Because we're about to end the stream and you will lose each other. I'm sure you can find each other in there. Thank you very much to everybody for coming along. Thank you so much, Wes, for coming along. I don't know what I was going to do here without you. Me reading this compendium on my own was going to suck.
You could have put dance on. That's what you should do next time.
Do what? Dance?
Yeah, we could do a little pants off, dance off. I think that's the cool thing to do.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Let's think. What else can I say? Your channel is D6 Evolution. Definitely check that out. You hope to begin Kill Team content soon?
Yes. It's trying to get my buddy together to actually do something, and I've just moved house, so in the process of trying to sort out some sort of studio setup right now. So yeah, give us a few weeks and we'll get onto that.
Awesome. Yes. In a bizarre turn of events, you live very close to my parents, and so we are hoping. We are hoping that in the future we can do something live together.
Yeah.
Whether it be a back rep, if we can figure that out, or I don't know, an in-person chat. Don't know. We'll figure that out. Hopefully.
Yeah.
At some point. Fingers crossed this month. But who knows?
Yep. Try for that.
And then let's think. For anybody that's still here, check out The Honest Wargamer. I recently did a podcast with them, which you can find both on their YouTube channel and on their podcast, where it's going to be super cringe to listen to, but I was attempting to sell his Age of Sigmar primarily viewers on Kill Team. I don't think I was the best spokesman and ambassador for Kill Team there, but I did what I could. Also check out Vanguard Tactics, because soon I will be going on theirs to go and do a battle report with them. So, and they just did a battle report for Kill Team yesterday, so check them out as well. That's it. I don't have anyone else to shout out, but generally do continue to watch other Kill Team content creators, please, because if nobody watches their stuff, they will not talk about Kill Team. So yeah, hunt them down. Let's think. So Wes is going to be able to play Kill Team with your parents? Yes. Sure. All right.
Yes, yeah, I'm sure they'll be into it.
Yeah. Wes, do you want to say goodbye?
Bye. I'll see you all soon, hopefully.
Yes, and everybody, if you stay to the end of the video, I'd like to give you a big square hello. There's no sound. Triple hello. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. Thank you very much for the super chats. If you did that, that was, honestly, talking a little bit of analytics, live streams, not good for revenue. Genuinely, we could have just done this as a, as a pre-recorded thing, and then made it live, and it would have made me more money. Like, it would have gotten more views, it would have made more money. So it was really weird. I don't understand it, but I thought it'd be more fun to do live so I can interact with chat. There you go, random analytics for you at the end of the video. All right, everybody. Thank you very much. I will see you whenever I next make a video, I guess. Otherwise, come into my Discord, Facebook, or that thing called Patreon. I have all of those.